Welcome, my friends. We are live. As always, I love it. I love it because I'll rock on and I already see like where everybody's coming from, which is great because I always love to see it. I love to see the, I would say the mix of where everybody's coming from. So if you're on the other side of the world, good evening. Otherwise, it's lunchtime, good afternoon if you're in the U.S. somewhere. So listen up. I wanted to do one of these workshops before we announce something special in about a week, right? I think you'll love what we're going to announce because if you like this, I think you love what we're going to announce. But I did a lot of training, I would say, constructs around training. But I wanted to do one on business. And I named it pretty wide. It's Fitness Business Building Workshop, right? So it's a pretty wide name. So we got a lot to cover. I would highly encourage you, a couple of things. Of course, you always will get the snapshots of the boards, the things I talk about that, there's some email templates that are going to be featured. I'm going to give you guys my presentation I've been doing this year. It's called Content That Educates, Entertains, and Sells. I'm just going to give you the slides. So if you purchase this, you're going to get all access to that. We're going to create a little PDF that has examples of emails to send out locally, all the things that I'm going to be talking about. So we'll do a bunch of that because, again, there's a lot to cover. And I'm going to go, each one of the different topics that I'm breaking down today could be a 2-day seminar on just that topic, right? And again, to kind of riff back on that, there's going to be something that I'm going to launch that's going to be continuity based, right? Monthly based. What if I tell you that I'll be doing this every week, right? We'll be going live every week educating between Q&As and workshops. So it'll be a kind of ongoing super coach mentorship. But again, we'll talk more about that later and announce that. But I wanted to kind of dive in a bunch of different things. What I wanted to start with when it comes to, building, honestly, any business, there's a bunch of principle stuff, right? So we're going to cover principles, then we're going to go to strategic and tactical things. My goal for you is to take stuff and go like, oh, I can do that, right? Because certain things you might be like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do it at this level yet, but let me dive deeper into it. And there's going to be things that you can do. And there's nothing more important for me than you taking the knowledge and then applying it so that it gets you results. That's the most important thing there is, right? So when you have your notebook, I want you to not just write notes down. I want you to circle and write down an actionable step that you will take after this or this week, right? I want it to be put into play, operationalize it, right? Otherwise it doesn't matter. So let's start with this whole idea of how do we get somebody from not knowing you, right? Not knowing about your business, and then pretend you're, again, whether you're a coach, whether you're a gym owner, it doesn't matter, right? Solopreneur in this sense. How does this go? And I really like Donald Miller's kind of pyramid here where you go, there's 3 phases, right? Phase 1 is curiosity and awareness. And you'll see how it plays out regardless of the platform. I'm going to give you guys tons of examples, but at first there's curiosity and awareness, right? Where somebody basically gets to, and this could be somebody scrolling through Instagram, your stuff pops up, right? And it's like, I use this example because I've had people hit me up about this, right? I've had a serious back injury a long time ago, really bad. Fixed it, took me a long time to fix, really dove down the kind of rabbit hole of back pain and everything else. So I share stuff that I do for my back, right? So somebody's scrolling through Instagram and it's like, hey, 6 exercises I do for my back, to help me be out of back pain. Now for anybody that has back pain, that might be something they get curious about, right? They're like, oh shit, okay, let me click on that and see what's up, right? And then they watch the video of the exercises. Maybe they do the exercise and they're like, wow, I do feel better. Holy crap. And then they follow you, right? So the moment you go from curiosity and awareness, okay, you go to this enlightenment stage. Now in enlightenment stage, this could be, and we'll talk, again, I'm going to keep replaying examples. So maybe if it was on Instagram, they start following you, right? So now they're following you, okay? If they go to your website, your landing page, okay, and they're like, I like what he's saying, and they opt in, now they're on your email list, right? So lead generation, we'll give you guys examples of that. If it's on YouTube, they subscribe like this, right? So if you love what I'm doing and you're like, hey, this guy's got good stuff, you subscribe to the channel. Okay, if it's the podcast, same thing, you subscribe to the podcast. you can see where I'm going with this, right? Facebook, follow, regardless of where it's at, right? And the thing is that in the enlightenment stage, this is where you do these different things, okay? You nurture that audience. You educate them. You entertain, you inspire, you connect, right? You inspire, you give value, you become useful. Maybe you even change some beliefs, right? And this stage can be long, right? This is when people start following you, right? And again, I can tell you examples of folks that have joined our email list, and like 2 years later, after reading emails from Vigor, they sign up for something, but it took 2 years, right? And then the third part is commitment. So commitment is now when you ask them to join a program, right? So if you have a trial, if you have 4 intro sessions, whatever else, if you have an online coaching program, if you have a challenge, it could be a number of different things. But this is the simple way to look at this, okay? Now, I gave one example here because that's the first thing that we're going to touch on. You know, contrary to belief, it's not going to be social media. It's going to be just like a website and some like branding, marketing stuff that I think is very important for you guys, okay? And curiosity awareness is like, okay, website or landing page, right? Somebody comes to your website. And because in a website, you let people know who you are. Actually, we're going to come back to this, but there's 3 things that your website should basically, within 5 seconds, be able to tell people, right? Because people have very short attention spans. They're getting shorter and shorter. So you got 5 seconds, okay? Who are you? How can you help me? What should I do next? Those are 3 things, right? Within 5 seconds, they got to be able to know that, okay? So that's why it's really important to actually, you know, work on the website. And I'll give you guys some frameworks here as well, because if you can't in 5 seconds tell people who you are, how you can specifically help them, and what they should do next, and they start having to look around and they're done, right? Most people are just out of there because they don't have that attention span. So you got to be clear, you got to be concise. So that's a very, very important part, right? So I'm giving you an example of like the website where somebody comes to your landing page, to your website, and then you give them something like lead generation. And I'll give you guys examples a little bit later, right? Where you're like, hey, get my 4-week body weight program for at home, like put in your email, and basically you can start getting fit at home, right? Or maybe it might be a body weight lean muscle building program or something like that, right? I'm just giving you guys examples. But then they give you the email. And then with the email, what you do is you nurture through that email. I'll give you guys some frameworks for that. And then you have a sales campaign. Like you ask people to join, you know, something where they can buy, right? Because through email, you should, I'm going to repeat this many times, educate, entertain, inspire, but then also make money, right? It's one of the, I would say in the fitness industry, it's still one of the, I would say, least utilized marketing strategies, building your email list. Because you probably have heard of this, right? While Instagram, great, it's not yours, right? Glitch happens, they block you, whatever, you're done. It's like you can't get those followers back. Same thing on YouTube, same thing on Facebook, but you own your email list, right? Email list can't be taken from you, just like a podcast subscriber list can't be taken away from you, right? So this is important, right? It's important to know, and email is still one of the most effective. Once you have people on your email list, it has one of the highest ROI, so return on investments, out of any marketing, okay? But this is very, very important to understand, because once you go like, hey, first I have to make people aware. And guess what? Right here in the corner, I wrote, great content and valuable content equals eyeballs. Eyeballs equals ads and or an offer, right? Because eyeballs means audience. If you don't have quality, valuable content, then you're not going to get the eyeballs, right? And the eyeballs are marketing. Right, here's an interesting story. Think about back in the 80s, right? I watched my daddies reading the newspaper. Everybody read the newspaper. Think about it, right? There was no blogs. I mean, there was radio. Radio was popular, right? And you had newspapers. Newspapers were the most read things. So guess where all the advertising was? In the newspapers, right? Where was all the advertising? On the radio, right? So wherever you were ears and eyes, that's where ads go. Now, what's so cool is that you are a media company, right? So if it's my phone right here, right? Something just posted up on my phone, but like this is your media company, right? Because I can film anything. I got a super high level camera. I can shoot podcasts on this. I can do all types of crazy stuff. I got apps things that would cost you thousands of dollars a month, now you can do for free because it's all integrated. So that's the power of it, but it means that you have to, if the content's not good, there's no eyeballs. No eyeballs, no people, an audience, no offers, no ads, no clients, right? So keep going back to that. It's like, we're gonna talk about content more later, but this is very important because great content creates curiosity and awareness, which then gets people to the enlightenment stage where they follow you in some format, and then you can nurture that, right? Very, very important, you gotta nurture that. And then you basically build up enough, what I call relational equity, to ask and get the sell, right? Imagine there's two buckets, right? There's two buckets. One bucket, the more you give to the marketplace, creating content, articles, podcasts, videos, ebooks, like lead gen stuff that gives to your marketplace, right? Every time you ask, you take out of that value bucket. So there's a lot of people that won't create a lot of value, and then they run an ad, and they're like, I don't understand why people are not buying. Well, because you've not put a lot of value into that bucket, you're just asking. So there's nothing to take out of that value bucket. Okay, it's a good analogy to understand. So I wanted to give you guys like on the framework of, again, this goes back to some Donald Miller stuff, where it's marketing made simple. And if you go to, so while you're watching the workshop, pull up and open one of the tabs and go vigorgroundfitness.com, right? So vigorgroundfitness.com is the website for my gym. And you will see some of this, actually a lot of this, right? Because I built the framework off of it. So it starts with a one-liner, right? So when you hit the website, you can see on the Vigor Ground website, what does it say? We help our clients change their bodies so they can change their stories to their life, right? Because, and it took me a while to kind of figure out the tagline, but it's clear what we do, right? If you read that, you go like, hey, we help our clients change their bodies so they can change their stories, because everybody comes to us, they have a story, and they want to change it. They don't like their story. They don't like being unconfident. They don't like not having energy and being a role model to their kids. They don't like not being able to look in the mirror and being, happy and excited with how they look, feel inside and outside, okay? So that's our tagline. But I gave you another company here because I study marketing, period, across the board, not just far from fitness. Honestly, most of my kind of study and masterminds and coaching that I have is outside of the industry because I just get different perspectives from it. But here's a one-liner that will really help you for a company that does food for families. So this is their one-liner. Hear it out. Families don't eat together. We cook meals that bring families together. 3,000 families have taken this offer this last week. So what did this is just one line, and look at what it said. First, there's the problem, right? So the one-liner it's great if it has a problem. Families don't eat together. Well, what's the solution? We cook meals that bring families together. And the result in positioning is 3,000 families have taken offer in the last week. Because automatically, what am I thinking? If I'm like, holy shit, 3,000 families have taken the offer? Man, they gotta be doing something right, okay? So that is a one-liner, and it's something that you have to work on. By the way, a lot of stuff we'll go through today, you'll be like, damn, I got some work to do. Absolutely, right? I'm gonna give you some stuff like alley-oops, so you can just like dunk it. And there's gonna be some stuff where like, listen, you gotta work on your business. Business is not easy. Business is challenging, but it's worthwhile and meaningful if you believe in what you're doing. So step one in a marketing made simple is like having a one-liner. Number two is a website that converts. And again, this is why I told you guys to open a tab, vigorgroundfitness.com. You'll see there's a one-liner, and then underneath, you can see here, I posted, now I did a little kind of like doodle slash on a whiteboard, but under that headline, you'll see 3 pieces of value, okay? And you can see how it has like, hey, we'll help you create your nutrition and fitness blueprint. Value, value, value. Remember, people think in 3s, at most 5. You should never post more than like 5 steps when you're doing this type of stuff. 3 is the best, right? So you can see 3 pieces of value, and there's 2 buttons at the bottom, and one of them says get started, right? Or it's sign up, but it's in green. It's making you look at that, right? Like this is, remember what I said on the website. You have to know who are we, what can we help you with, and like what to do next. Click here, get started with our trial. And all of that stuff is what's called above the fold, right? So if I pull up any type of website on my phone, this is above the fold, right? So what I see is above the fold. Okay, I actually pulled up this, which is this one? This one? There we go. Right, so this one. All right, actually this is the memo, which I'll show you guys later. So that's above the fold, right? It's everything that you see. That looks kind of cool on the screen too when I look at it. So above the fold means what I can see. I don't have to scroll. So whether it's the desktop or the phone, above the fold is the most valuable property there is, okay? So that's how you have to look at this, right? I land there, what is it saying? And it has to have a one-liner, it has to have value, it has to have what to do next, and some positioning. And if you go on a Vigor site, you can kind of see it says we've been featured in all these, cool places, right? That's a little bit of positioning. And then also, on the website, the cost of the problem. At some point in time on the website, it should talk about the cost of the problem. Now, if you slide down a little bit, you'll see where it said, where these little, nice images, and it says, customized training for you, and then it's copy. And it talks about the problem and how we solve the problem, right? So you want to have the cost of the problem. Like, what happens if this person does not take action, right? It's a very, very important factor here. And then you'll see benefits. Again, 1, 2, 3. So I don't want to spend too much time on, I think that what we'll do is we'll put a little framework. When you get this course, we'll put a little framework of the website, like kind of a guide how to build the website, right? And you can see here one of the important things is like what to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So if you slide down on the Vigor Ground website, it'll say like step 1, sign up for the 30-day results in advance. Step 2, get a customized nutrition and training plan. Step 3, get results, right? It's very, it basically has to be, if you guys remember, so simple a caveman could do it. Basically, it's got to be that, right? It's got to be so simple a caveman can understand it and lead them to sign up with you, right? I wanted to start here because, again, most of the time when I do consulting, and I do consulting for, bigger companies, for smaller gyms, mostly I would say what I call micro gyms, between 1,000 to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 square feet that do coaching programs, group training, one-on-one personal training. And we'll break down a website, and the website is not, it's not great, and it's costing them leads, okay? So with that said, number 2, you got to have a website that converts, right? Website or landing page. Number 3, have a lead generating PDF. And the question is, why a PDF? Well, it's very easy to make. Like a PDF, you can go into Google Doc, convert it into a PDF, go for, honestly, on Canva now, you have Canva's either free or it's very, very cheap. You can have it be designed very nicely, and it's way more effective than a newsletter, right? So if you go on somebody's website and it says join our newsletter, you're like, why, right? Unless you follow this person for a long time and they're really positioned, give me something that's going to be very valuable, right? So make it so the PDF that you give, and if you slide down on the Vigor Ground website, you will see that I'm giving away some PDFs there. By the way, that could be better on the site. But make sure it solves a problem for your audience, right? So my friend Don Saladino, I mentioned this earlier, he gave a PDF during the pandemic when he went online. He shut down his gym, he went online, and it was a 4-week at-home program, bodyweight training program, and he got insane amounts of downloads, right? But it was something very valuable. It's like, hey, here's this, celebrity trainer that gets amazing results with people. Here's a bodyweight program for free. Just put in your email, and you can get it for free, and you can train for the next 4 weeks and get great results. Very valuable, right? So what are some things that you could do for your gym? Think about the audience that you train. I think that having, for instance, at-home dumbbell training program, like a full program, it has to, the thing is, it has to be something somebody be willing to pay for, right? Something that somebody be willing to pay 30 to 50 bucks for, or maybe even more. You create it and it's really good and you give it away for free, because that's going to help you build that email list, right? So right here. So if they went to your page, now we want to get them into the enlightenment phase, but you got to give them something very valuable, right? Again, we got plenty of boards, guys. I'm going to give you a lot of examples, but I want you to principle-based thinking first, because this is the stuff that helps build businesses, and not only builds them, but streamlines them, right? Because if you have a quality website, when you go to sleep, you wake up and there's leads. You didn't have to hustle for those leads. You did have to hustle initially, You have to put in the work in what I'm saying to build the site or to build the model, but then it keeps giving you results, right? So that's, I think, very, very powerful and important. So one-liner, website that converts, a lead generating PDF. Nutrition stuff is great too. We have like Vigor Ground recipe books that we've given away, where it's just like it has 150 recipes with the calories broken down, with how to make it, with, you know, what they're gluten friendly, this, that, the other. And it has a little like shopping, grocery shopping, I would say, list. And then it has like a template for you how to make your meals and structure your meals, right? So it's cool, it's very valuable, right? And we have a high protein one, a 5-ingredient one, we have a vegan one, so on and so forth, right? And invested some time and energy and money to create those, but they've been very valuable. And then number 4 is a nurturing email sequence, right? So remember, nurturing email sequence is where you send out articles, podcasts, videos. Again, more value and ideally positioning. So like, let's say you've written a great article. Let's say you've done an awesome video, or you have something else. You send out emails that give them more value to support what you help people with. So you're just solving more problems, right? You're solving more problems through education, entertainment, and inspiration. And then there's a sales email sequence. Again, by the way, you guys will get this, right? You'll see this one. So the sales email sequence is like this. When somebody opts in, number 1 email, they get the lead gen delivered. So they put in their email sends them the PDF, whatever the PDF is. Then the second email would be a day later, and it would state the problem and then the solution, right? So the problem would be, I'm just making stuff up, but for example, this is a big one, right? Most people, I actually talk about this a lot. I just did a bunch of content about it. Most people take on big challenges, but they don't have enough support, okay? So that's a big problem. How many times have you bought, or downloaded a PDF, bought a book, right? And it's like the stuff in there is good stuff, but it's very challenging. It's a lot of challenge for you. Why why does it prevent you from succeeding? Well, here's what science shows, and here's what we found with all our clients at Vigor Ground. When the challenge is high, but the support is low, you won't have success, right? So when you buy a book, who can you email? Who keeps you accountable? Who coaches you and guides you? Nobody, right? So what we found is that like having support from an environment, a group of friends, going to a gym, right? Where the people support you. Again, having a coach that helps guide you throughout, that's what's gonna help you get the results, right? Or you need to lower your challenge, right? You can't make it too challenging. You can't go on a crazy diet and try to start training every day of the week. You're gonna crash and burn. So that might be the problem, and then the solution again is, hey, in the PS, we have a 30-day trial, no risk. Join our gym. Let us get you results in advance for 30 days. And then again, once you already got results, then you can make a commitment. That's an example, right? Number 3 would be send a customer testimonial. So the day afterwards is like a testimonial from one of the clients, what they struggle with, how they overcame it, how your gym, how your coaching helped them out. After that is overcoming an objection. Think about, like, people always have objections. Well, sure, Luca, sounds like a good program, but I've done stuff in the past, this, that, and the other. Okay, cool. So then now you have to overcome that objection. Why are you different? Okay? And again, it comes back to, like, we're a results-based gym. If you haven't made the, I would say, time investment and emotional investment, maybe that's what's stopping you. Or maybe you've tried to do too much, and it's like you need the right fit for you, right? You've tried to do cookie-cutter programs that don't take into account your lifestyle, your nutrition, so on and so forth. And they make you think like you're wrong and you failed because you're not committed, but that's not true. It wasn't the right program for you. So that might be the overcoming an objection, okay? After that, you have a paradigm shift email. Paradigm shift is, for example, I love this from Precision Nutrition. It's not always it's not all or nothing. It's always something. So this is a great example of people fail because they go on the summer program, right? And it's all or nothing. Do the diet, do the training, and then if they don't do it exactly the way it is, they quit and they do nothing. So that's an all or nothing mentality. Whereas at Vigor, we talk about the always something. We call it a dial, a nutrition and a training dial, right? So you might, a 10 would be everything perfect for that day. But maybe, kids got sick, work got crazy long, you didn't have a good night's sleep, and you won't be able to do the program you're supposed to do. So that would be a 10. We're going to dial it down to a 2, and you go for a 30-minute walk. You listen to podcasts that gets your mind right. but you're still doing something. It's always something. You know, your nutrition wasn't a 10, it was maybe a 4 or 5, but it wasn't a 0, right? It wasn't a 0. So that's a paradigm shift. And basically in the email, it could be like, what we help clients do is teach them the always something mentality, so that even when hard times come, they're prepared and they have the skill sets to be able to maintain their body, strength, body fat percentage, all of those different things. And then you have a sales email, right? The sales email is a pure pitch, right? Pure like, hey, sign up for our program. Now I'm just giving you, again the frameworks. You'll get this kind of sequencing. Now, because I know the question is going to be like, all right, how do you write emails? We're going to touch on it a little bit later on. But I'm going to give you guys some names. One of them is Ben Settle, phenomenal email copywriter. One of the guys I learned from. Andrew Chaperone. And then one of my really close friends, Paul Mort. Paul Mort's I've known him for 15 years. He's basically a life coach, a 2-time UK Master Life Coach of the Year, and he does incredible email writing, right? So I would always say format, you know, or if you're on a Vigor Ground email newsletter, I'd highly recommend that because you'll see how I write my emails. Okay, I would say there are some rules to it. One of them being, don't make them too long. 250 to 500 words is ideal. People write too much. But you got to practice it. It's a skill set, right? It's a skill set. So we'll come back to that. So that is our 5. If you look at this kind of like framework of the website, I wanted to start there because most people don't touch on it, but it's important because it works for you 24/7. Okay, now here's the thing that I drew up here in the corner, and I'll explain it to you, right? So this is, first of all, statistical on how people buy, okay? So there's only 3% of people that are this very moment looking to buy. So let's say you're training, right? So you're training, whether it's your gym, whether it's your personal training, 3% of people are ready to buy right now. Now, unfortunately, this is where all the people focus on. Your competition focuses on this. Everybody focuses on this, is that 3%. But check this out. 17% are in information gathering mode, meaning they're Googling, they're asking friends, they're going on, you know, again, whether it's on Google or on recommendations or maybe Yelp, or they're just going through a network, because that's what most people do when it comes to training, right? But they know that they need help and they're ready to get help, but they're in information gathering mode, okay? Then there's another 20% that are what's called problem aware. They know they have a problem, like I don't feel good, I know I'm like obese and I have to drop body fat to be healthier. I don't like the way that I feel, look, perform, right? But they're aware of it, but they're not in the information gathering mode yet, right? But they're aware, like they know they have a problem. And then you have 60%, which is a big number, that are not problem aware, okay? They're not problem aware. It's basically like, nah, everything's fine, right? And that might be like being what I call numb to it, right? So you're numbing the problems in your life, which is a lot of people do. Hey, listen, we've all done it. Now, here's the thing. With the stuff that I'm talking about, that's what you focus on, right? You're creating content for people that are in info gathering mode, that are problem aware, right? And even people that are not aware, you can create content to make people aware of their issues, right? And so my point being is, everybody's fighting for the 3%. When you create content and when you get people into the enlightenment phase and you nurture them through educating, entertaining, inspiring, like giving them insights, right? Creating paradigm shifts. You become the person. When they do buy, you're that person. So you're always nurturing. Think about this. This is 97%, right? 97% of people right now are not ready to buy. And most people are fighting for that 3%. So you're nurturing that 97%. So when they are ready, and I shared a story about a specific person that was on the email list for 2 years and made a decision. They were here. And they started moving up. When they're ready to buy it, they were like, hey, I'm going to go to Vigor Ground. Been reading those emails. They've been getting educated, entertained, inspired, right? Been getting paradigm shifts, insights, and bam. So this is because again, there's a long-term game behind this. And I don't know if I have any space. I do have some space. Think about this, because again, I'm going to interject myself to give you guys some insights. There's only really 3 ways to generate clients, like kind of three models. And like one of them is paid advertising. We're actually going to talk about paid advertising at the end. I'm going to give you some tricks, some shortcuts, right? Some cool stuff. So we got paid advertising, okay? Now, I'm a fan of paid advertising, by the way, right? We have an ad running right now. You can steal it from me. I'll show you at the end. But the thing about paid advertising, you do need to understand some stuff, right? Copy, creative imaging, audiences, stuff like that. And you have to be willing to spend money. Now, if you do it right, the money you spend is going to give you back more money than you spent, right? So if you gave me $100 and I gave you back 200, you'd keep doing it for forever. So that's one of the ways. Number two is like offers, like right now, right? So that means that's for the 3%, by the way, right? The offer is kind of for the 3%. So that's something like a 6150 offer, which I've talked about before, right? Or 5160, sorry. So 5160 offers is something like this. You go on your social media, on your Facebook and your Instagram, and you go like, hey, I'm looking for 5 men that want to get their athleticism back, and have the look and performance of when they were in the college sports, right? In the next 60 days, right? Drop a yes if that's you, or DM me if that's you, right? It's called a hand raiser post. And you're going to get some people off of that, right? It's got to be, again, 5160 specific. 5 people, or you can make it 10 people. 1 goal, 60 days or 90 days. Again, you can play around with it. But that's an offer for right now, or for instance, the 30-day results in advanced programs. Stuff that like, hey, do it right now. The thing that people don't spend time on much is this. Is long-term positioning, value, and connection, right? And connection. I always talk about like conversations. How many conversations are you having? I'm going to show you guys a tactical strategy for conversations. Even online, right? As human beings, think about social media. I'll respond to pretty much almost everybody, if they comment. I say thanks, ask them a question back, hit them up in the DMs, give them additional value. That's a conversation. That's what we do in real life. If Des comes up to me and is like, hey, Luca, how's your day going? I'd be like, oh, man, it's been great. Like, you want to grab some coffee? Like, we'd have a conversation. On social, sometimes somebody says something to you and you just give them like a fist bump. Like, it's not what you do in real life, right? They talk to you and you're like, that'd be weird. Like, be fucking very weird. You know what I mean? You'd be like, not talking to that person again. So you want to be a human being and you want to actually track your conversations. So you want to create valuable content and then you want to engage. Because now, and I would even track that. I would take it a step further and have an Excel sheet, have somewhere where you can track all of your conversations with people. Because you can go back to them like, hey, that low back exercise that you tried, how did it go? How's your back feel? Right? And then that's the person that eventually you can sign up, whether it's online or offline. Okay, it's more of a principle. So spend more time building connection, conversating with people, even if it's online, definitely in person, but I'm going to come back to that. I have this thing called a 6x6 strategy that we'll talk about, okay? So, again, don't be like your competitors. Focus on the other 97% so that you can become the person in your area, okay, the go-to expert in your area. Hold on, I need a little bit of caffeine before we continue. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is offers. And I'm going to give a shout out to my guy, Alex Hormozi. If you guys don't know him, you should definitely know him. Should know him. But he has a great book. It's called $100 Million Offers. Now, I'm going to break this down like very, very simply in like a one side of the board for you guys to be able to take advantage of. I'll give you examples to kind of ethically steal and whatnot. But this is another thing too. Like, I do so much of the business coaching that I see patterns of what coaches and gyms are doing or not doing. And very few people spend a lot of time on their offer, but the offer is one of the most important things that you can have, right? Because the offer differentiates, right? If you're, for instance, if somebody's like, hey, my offer is 1 free training session. Yeah, there's another 1,000 coaches with that same offer. What makes you different, right? What makes that offer different, right? Maybe you're positioned differently, but like, you should work on your offer. And actually, Alex learned this thing from one of my good friends. We used to run our first big events together called Changing the Game. His name's Travis Jones. He said this, and he said, create an offer so good that people would feel stupid saying no to it. It's a good tagline, right? Offer so good you'd be stupid to say no to it. Dan Kennedy would say like these outrageous offers, right? And Alex talks about it in the book where it's like, think about it this way, okay? The dream outcome of the client, like what should the offer be? And again, our offer here at Vigor Ground is the 30-day results in advance program, which we continue to try to improve, right, that offer. And it works very well. I think we can make it even better. But the principles behind offers is this. What's the client's dream outcome times the perceived likelihood of achievement? Like, so how likely are they to achieve it? And then we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that, you know, through not only marketing, but your actual program, okay? Divided by time delay. So how long will it take? That's why we decided on 30 days, because we want to get people to convert, you know, to get a great result, feel great, be part of the community, and then convert fast to our gym. And then times effort and sacrifice. Look, the reality is most people want to be like, what's the least amount of effort and sacrifice I can make to get the most out of it? So you can see, dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by time delay times effort plus sacrifice. That's what equals value. So how can you create the most value possible? Because when coaches say, like, Luka, you know, people came in, they did our thing, and they didn't sign up. Majority of the time, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm actually not, it's you didn't provide enough value, right? You didn't provide enough value. And some of it is not, like, it's not even your fault, okay? It's not your fault. Like, did you know this formula? Did you, like, this is human psychology, right? Like, we want to understand human psychology better to be able to help people as best as we can. So we want more of this, right? More of the dream outcome. So higher dream outcome, higher likelihood of perceived likelihood of achievement, and then lower time, so less time and less effort and sacrifice. Now, as a coach, you might be like, but Luka, it takes effort and sacrifice. Of course we know that. But remember, for us to help somebody, we got to get them through the doors, and we got to create value, and we got to make them feel part of something. We got to get them to wins, and that's how they stay with us. So, and don't worry, we're going to go through a bunch of examples. Don't worry about it, okay? Another thing that's very, very important, this is more of a marketing thing, right? But like, what market, so when you ask yourself, like, who am I marketing to? You know, I believe that my favorite story of how do you create an avatar, right, is like this. Who are the clients, your favorite clients to coach? Like, you would do, basically you coach them for free. There's so much joy to coach. And who pays you the most? Right? Who values you the most? That's your avatar, right? But there's something that's important, right? A little bit about markets. Which market do you pursue? Well, there's got to be enough pain. They have to have purchasing power. So an example would be this, like, and this may sound harsh, but like, you wouldn't go somewhere and sell luxury cars where they can't afford luxury cars, right? They don't have purchasing power. So that's an extreme example, but that's the example, right? Like, I'm not going to go sell Rolls Royces somewhere where, you know, they just don't have the money to buy Rolls Royces, right? So there has to be enough pain. So that there has to be pain in the, I would say, remember, the three biggest thing that you can sell is like how to make money, how to get like fit, and then basically how to improve relationships. Those are kind of like your three big buckets, right? But the market has to have enough pain. It has to have enough purchasing power. It has to be easy enough to target, and has to be growing. Now, I would say this. This is something that I dislike saying. I dislike saying that, you know, unfortunately, the U.S. and from you guys that are from all over the world, you know that unfortunately health is not getting better. It's getting worse, right? I hate to say that, right? But it means that, like, we have a bigger mission to fulfill, and it definitely means that, unfortunately, in that sense, that our market is growing, right? There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of people to help. People have money for it, right? There's market, meaning, are they easy to target? Well, we got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got LinkedIn, we got blogs, we got, you name it. Yes, there's tons of places where you can reach those people. So that all fits, okay? But that's how I'm looking at, like, how do we go after a specific market? So here we have kind of like a 6-step process on how to create the offer. And I promise you some of this is going to be like, damn, I didn't think about this, okay? But number one, step one is we've got to figure out prospective clients' dream outcome. So at this point in time, depending on how many people you've coached, I've coached over 4,000 people myself. I kind of have figured out like what people want. Now, again, depending on the market that you coach, you'll have a good idea. But like, let's say you only have 5 clients. If you have 4 or 5 clients, what do those clients come to you for, right? What is their dream outcome? We have a question in the client intake form that goes like this. If I can wave a magic wand, right, today, and then tomorrow you wake up magically and you are where you want to be, tell me about what things are in your life now or what things are not in your life right now, right? What's gone and what's there. Because when I started reading through all these intake forms, I started seeing what people's dreams outcomes are, right? What their dream outcomes are. This is important, right? Because we have to be able to vocalize and verbalize in our marketing people's dream outcomes, okay? Step 2 is we list all the obstacles they likely encounter on the way. Again, this is why it's so important to write stuff down. Like when you sit down with somebody for a transformation session, strategy session, consultation, and you go like, hey, tell me more about like what you've struggled with in the past. What are the obstacles? What are you facing right now? You know, what prevented you from achieving your goals, right? What worked? What didn't work? So now you find out all the obstacles that they've previously encountered or they believe they will encounter on the way, right? Now we list all those obstacles as solutions. And you're like, whoa, what do you mean? Well, because we can create solutions for every single one of those obstacles. I'm going to give you some examples here, by the way, okay? So if they're like, well, in the past, I did this program, worked great, but then like I started kind of falling off. Nobody was there to put me back on track. I didn't have any accountability. I didn't have a community. Okay, so we're going to list all those obstacles now as solutions. I travel a lot. So when I'd go on the road, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't have a program. I didn't know how to eat. Oh, guess what? We've created a eating for travel guide. We created a workout. We give you workouts for when you're on the road, whether it's just body weight or at the hotel. Right? We created a solution for the obstacle that you're going to face. Also, the coach, when you're on the road, this is not a program just for in the gym. Like this is a full-blown transformation program where when you're on the road, we check in with you. Hey, how are you doing? Did you get that workout done? Right? You're still coaching them. Again, we're preparing for all the obstacles and we already have a solution for them. I can keep going where it's just like, yeah, but like I don't really cook. Oh, that's, you know what? We have an eating out guide. We created an eating out to basically get lean guide. So for your area, we give you the best places, what foods to eat, so on and so forth. See what I'm saying? Now, the thing is that you have to write down what problems people come to you with. And you're probably not asking enough of the questions. Because now when we create our offer, like for instance, our 30-day results in advance offer, and part of what they get is not just the semi-private sessions, the group training, the team training, all of these valuable things, a physical therapy assessment valued at $199, or a, for instance, stretch session or a massage session, right? A smoothie, so like just stacking that offer. You also, you get grocery store lists. You get recipe books I was talking about earlier. You get a plan for on the road so you never have to worry about what to do. You have an eating out guide. Do you see what I'm saying? Imagine all those valuable resources that become solutions to the obstacles, right? Then we figure out all different ways to deliver these solutions. I just mentioned some of them, right? So it could be like, for instance, there's like, hey, I got an 8-minute video of stretches for when you're on the road so that your hips feel better, your low back feels better, this, that feels better. It's a PDF. You download it, you just click the videos, and you do the videos, right? We want to figure out how to deliver them. And then we trim it down to those with the highest value and the lowest cost to us. Now, what I mean by that is this. You could post some stuff on there and go like, hey, let's get this person, a massage every week, but then that might cost you, the business owner, too much, right? But maybe you can do a massage in a month and like you do a collaboration with a massage therapist. We just consulted one of our business coaching clients to make this offer, and they partnered with a local massage therapist. They were happy because they were getting new leads, right? And they'd still get tips, and they'd go like, hey, you want to turn this 45-minute massage session into hour-and-a-half massage session for an extra cost? So it's good for them, but it was very valuable to our clients and at no cost to them, right? Because they said, hey, look, we already have people going to you. Would you like to get more clients? Every person that comes in for our results in advance offer will bring you that massage therapy client. So you go and decide how you trim down these to the highest value. Obviously, the training sessions, I'll break down our 30-day results in advance and kind of talk about some of the things that we're adding that I just mentioned. And then you can kind of create your own offer, right? Because at the end, what you do, you put the bundles together in an ultimate high-value deliverable. Now, remember, you don't only have to have one offer. Our main offer here is the 30-day results in advance, right? But we've done 90-day programs that are much higher ticket, for instance, $2,400, right? There's a 90-day Transform for Good program where there's 3 semi-privates a week. way more nutrition accountability. Like they have multiple physical therapy sessions per month, right? Called tune-ups, making sure that you're always feeling great. Again, I'm just giving you examples. Like you can have specific programs for women, for men. The more niche, the specific you get, the better. But you want to have at least one baseline offer for your coaching program. Does it have to be, does it have to be the way that we do it? Absolutely not. There's a lot of different examples of how you can do it and do it well. We also have like quick hitter offers that, like when I'm having a conversation on the street, or what I say on the street with somebody, like let's say somebody came in a Fit Bar, they're looking at the gym, we're having a conversation. I would do one of two things, right? I try to get them into our 30-day results in advance. But I've done this before where I go like, hey, listen, how about this? I'll pay for 3 sessions for you, right? Never tell them it's free. You say, I'll take care of 3 sessions for you. 3 VIP sessions, I'll pay for them, right? It's very different if you go like, I'll pay for them. You can come to my small group tomorrow and then we'll do a semi-private coaching session, right? Value's high and you get them in. And again, it's a quick hitter, right? Because for me, I want to get people in front of me because I know if I get people in front of me, it's a done deal. So the thing about offers is like there's a lot of different ways that you can have them and for different scenarios, but you got to make sure that you develop one that is like the Don Dada, right? Because when we created our 30-day results in advance, actually we used to call it a trial, right? And we'll go a little bit later and talk about naming, right? We used to call it a trial. Then we started called it a 30-day results in advance program, right? And again, just the name creates more value for it. Right? And since we did that and we kept adding stuff to it and we doubled the price of it, it still is like very, very successful and popular, right? So it's a great offer. It's been going on for 10 years, 10 years now. Okay, so a couple of things. The bundle does 3 things. Okay, it solves all the perceived problems. This is very important. Again, I go around the industry a lot and there's very little like thought about like how much does this solve? Does this solve all the problems for our potential clients? Also, it gives you the conviction that what you're selling is one of a kind. Again, if you go look around your area and there's a lot of similar offers, you're not convinced. You don't have the certainty that your thing is one of a kind. But if you're like, hey, look, for $197 or $247, we give you one semi-private customized session with a program per week. You get access to a small group. And you start stacking this offer and like you're like, holy shit. This is insane. Like this is going to get them so much support, so much accountability, right? So much of the results. I'm certain this is the best offer. So how can you create an offer that you're so certain about that when you speak with conviction, because remember, certainty sells, right? Which one's going to be more convincing to you? If you're like, yeah, I think this program will be pretty good for you, right? Or it's like, I can't wait for you to get started with this program. Listen, like every step of the way, we're going to help you out. You won't ever not know what's needed. You're going to have a community to support you. Like you have this conviction that this program is going to really, really help them out. And that is going to help sell, right? But again, certainty sells and conviction can be transferred. Have you ever been around somebody that like is so convincing? Like they're so convinced in what they're saying, even though it's bullshit. You're kind of like, I don't know, I believe this person, right? That's what that looks like. Now, I'm not saying the bullshit, but I'm saying create some things that you're certain and convinced of that it's the best thing. Number 3 is make it impossible to compare or confuse you. This is very important, right? You don't want to be compared to or to be confused. Like people should know that your offer is different, right? It's better, it's more valuable. And what I say that is like, to any other offer down the street or in your area. Now, if you're online, this goes the same thing, but locally, this makes a lot of sense, okay? And then there's a couple of things here, like how do you enhance the offer? This is like marketing principles, like Dan Kennedy type stuff, right? We've got scarcity, right? Scarcity is, hey, there's only 8 spots this month. And again, this might be something that you can do. Don't bullshit people. I don't like that. Like when you're like, we only have 11 spots, right? And it's like, no, you don't. You have 50. So if you're using scarcity, use it like ethically. Then you have urgency. I think urgency is great when it comes to, like, for instance, my birthday's coming up in the next 2 weeks. And we do a birthday special. We run it for about 4 days, right? There's a deadline, so there's an urgency. Like, hey, get in. Like, this is the best offers of the year. but by this deadline, you have to sign up for it or it's gone, right? So that's going to help people buy. Bonuses. Bonuses are important, right? Because also, imagine this. We've done this many a times where you're sitting down with somebody and you go like, hey, listen, we believe that action takers are more committed and they get better results. So if you sign up today, we're going to give you an extra 4 semi-private training sessions, right? Valued at $300, for example, right? So that might be a bonus, because the big thing is add bonuses instead of discounting, right? So when you discount too much, you start devaluing. So it's much better to keep the price and just add bonuses, like add a lot of value. Don't take down the price. I've seen this, and it's another thing that's very notorious in this industry, is just chop the price, right? That's a race to the bottom. Everybody that's here today watching, and everybody's going to be watching this later, I believe you guys are in the top 5%, the top 1%, which means that you should not be average priced, right? Deliver the most, be convinced that you're delivering that value, but be higher priced, right? That's a very, very important thing to understand, okay? Because chopping prices is a race to the bottom. So another thing here too is a simple offer is less valuable when it's than being broken down into its components. So this is what a lot of folks will do. We'll go like, hey, here's our 14-day trial. That's it. Okay, you get 14 days of training with us. So that's like this little current service, like it's a square. But what we want to do, we want a superior service, and we want to break down each component. So each component is like this. You're going to get 4 semi-private training sessions with a coach, with a customized program that's going to be designed specifically for you. You're going to have access, so that's one box, one square. Then you're going to have, you're going to have access to our small group strength training, right? This is valued at $350 per month. You'll get access to that while you're here. You get access to our award-winning team training. We have 26 sessions per week. It's basically fast-paced. It's constructed towards you, but you're going to burn a lot of calories, right? It's 45 minutes long. It's challenging. It's fun, and we adjust it to your fitness level, right? Boom, here's another one. You get nutritional guidance every step of the way. So you have an accountability coach and a nutrition coach that's going to give you the next step that's going to be simple and not stressful. No crazy meal plans, detox diets, so on and so forth, right? You're going to get an injury and performance assessment with high-def physical therapy that's in-house, right? That's $199 value. And I'm going to keep going down the list. Remember when I said create all these solutions of the obstacles? You're going to get 3 different recipe books to choose from where you can pick meals that are super simple and easy to make. They're delicious, and they're going to fit your goals. You're going to get a grocery store list. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. So now I've just broken this down into so much value. It's a superior service. Because as coaches, you're like, well, yeah, of course they're going to get help with this, that, and the other. They don't know. You know. It's called the curse of knowledge, right? The curse of knowledge is basically like we understand our topic at a 10 or a 9, right? So we're like, oh, let's dumb it down for people to a 5 or a 6. But the truth is we got to break it down to a 2 or at most a 3 for people, right? To let them know everything that they're going to get and all the value and how you're going to solve all their problems. Okay, so this is important because, again, most people do not do this. So bonuses are big things. Guarantees. Ooh, this is a big one, right? So our 30-day results in advance program. Literally our pitches. If at any point in time you feel like that was not the right fit for you, we didn't deliver the service, okay? In that case, we'll give you every penny back. No questions asked, no paperwork to fill out. I'll Venmo you right now, right? So my point being is like you take away the risk. So the amount of people that have come in and like question this, that, the other, and I'm like, hey, what do you have to lose? Like in 30 days, what you've got to lose is, unwanted pant size, feeling better, you know what I mean? Lose some lethargy, build some energy, like get results. But if you don't, you got nothing to lose. Matter of fact, if we waste your time, forget about like I'll give you the money back and I'll give you a $50 gift card for FitBar, right? For wasting your time. So the thing is, now you can take this, because remember, there's 4 types of guarantees. There's unconditional guarantees, there's conditional guarantees, there's anti-guarantees, and implied guarantees. Now you can look at the last 2 up. I'm going to give you guys the first 2. So unconditional guarantee is the one that I just mentioned to you. Unconditional. Like for any reason that you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. A conditional guarantee, so you could have both, by the way. You could stack your guarantees. For a 90-day program, you could say, like, if you do all these things, so you come for 3 semi-private sessions a week, you go to 2 conditioning sessions a week, You stick to 80 to 90% of the nutrition that we outline for you for 90 days. And if you don't get these results, we'll give you double your money back, right? People are afraid to do this. People are afraid to do this. They're afraid to give guarantees. And because you're afraid to give guarantees, it's crushing your business. Because what does it say if you're giving a guarantee? It means you're confident about your thing. So if you're not confident, it means that you need to improve the program. You need to do better here to stack an offer and go like, holy shit, like this is such a valuable offer. Hell yes, I put my money behind it. But I'll tell you what, since we've done unconditional money back guarantees, the amount of people that ask back for money is like this much. But there's so many more people that will actually purchase because of the guarantee, right? So you have to understand that. Like again, like these are marketing principles that have stood the test of time, right? So have a guarantee, whether it's unconditional, whether it's conditional, okay? And you can stack them, but I promise you, everybody should have a guarantee, money back guarantee. Last one is naming, okay? On the naming side of things, again, I mentioned that like saying 30-day trial versus a 30-day results in advance program, right? Or a fat loss, I mean, okay, I'm like, because certain things I don't like using, but it's like if it's a 6-week fat loss catalyst program, right? Again, naming things helps. And you can look at the different names that have been successful in any kind of industry that have helped sell the product. So naming a program makes a lot of sense when you have an offer. And again, I'll post some inside once, again, if you purchase this, give you some different examples of naming so you can just see. There's actually a little formula for naming, but there's only so much stuff that we can go through today because let's see where we're at. Oh wow, already. See, I knew it. I knew it, damn it. All right, so that covers the offer side of things. Again, strongly encourage you. By the way, like I mentioned a lot of things here. Most of the things that I mentioned, I'm not associated with. Like, for instance, I just think that Alex's book is phenomenal when it comes to making for offers. I think it's the best book out there, right? Anytime I share stuff, last time I shared, Unreasonable Hospitality, phenomenal book I just read. That's great for customer experience. Everybody should get that. Like, I don't get anything from that. I just want to share resources that have helped me that I think are great. Before we flip to the next side, and something that's I think really important is Dan Kennedy is one of the greatest marketers of our time. Magnetic marketing. He had 6 principles, right? Number 1, there will always be an offer. There will always be an offer. Another mistake I would say that Fit Pros make, when I go and look at their accounts, their websites, like they're not making offers. And it's like, how are you going to sell if you don't ask? Now, you have to make sure you provide the value first, but they're not asking enough. And when we increase the frequency to ask, we start getting more clients, okay? So that's number 1. There'll always be an offer. Number 2, give them a reason to take action now. That's why it's called direct response. I think both are important. Branding is very important and direct response is important, right? So, but you got to make sure that there's always something to take action on now. Create clear instructions of what you want them to do. You would not believe on how many people is like, if I ask somebody like, hey, when you look at this person's website or this person's Instagram or this bio, what should they do? Does it tell them, click here to find out ways to work with me, right? On an Instagram bio. Something like that will get you maybe tens, if not hundreds, depending on how big your audience is, of leads per year more just because you did that, okay? Number 4, there will be tracking and there'll be measuring. Biggest probably mistake there is, not tracking and measuring. And that's what we're gonna talk about next on the next whiteboard. There will always be follow-up. So these two, number 4 and 5, there's always gonna be tracking and measuring, and there's always gonna be follow-up. Those might be 2 of the biggest culprits in the industry for not getting great results when it comes to marketing, lead generation, and getting new clients, right? I would say coaches do not track and measure how many leads they got. And I'll show you what to track and measure, okay? And not following up. And number 6 is results rule. Base everything on results, right? That's why you got to track and measure. Don't let your emotions get in the way. Like, well, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. You have to look at, like, what are you actually doing and what results is that bringing in? And if it's not, you got to switch it up, okay? So that's going to lead us to the next part because I think this is very, very important. Again, guys, make sure you're hanging out to the end because at about the 2-hour mark, we're going to go into Q&A based on everything that we talked about today. All the questions that you may have. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Everybody here should have an execution plan, okay? The execution plan is blocking out 3 to 4 hours per month. And usually, here's what you want to do. You want to create a plan for the quarter, but then every month you want to have about 3 to 4 hours to look at the month ahead and decide and plan your marketing. So here's the different things that you can do. And I got this from Vince Gabriel, but it's been using it for a long time, which is evergreen. So this is how you'd break down your marketing plan, right? One, you'd have evergreen strategy. These are the things that you do all the time, every week, every day, every month, okay? And I'll give you examples of every one of them. I actually mapped out some of the stuff that in the next month we'll be doing, right? Number 2 is contests and challenges. Those are the short-term programs. You're probably not running them all the time. You probably have times of year where you should be running that. Number 3 is core events. Those are the events that you host and run, whether it's at your facility or it's somewhere else. From there, you have joint ventures, partnering with other local businesses and programs. Community events, so what you're going to do in a community, this can be a lot of different things, right? And then holiday promotions. So what holidays will you do something to bring in new members, right? So even if we look at just the next month, okay? So evergreen strategy for right now, Facebook ads, those Facebook ads are running to a trial, right? Currently, the one I'm running is about I think we're getting $18 per lead for this one. Not too bad, want to get it down, but not too bad, right? So that's running at all times. Facebook content, 2 to 3 posts per day. That's specifically for me. I do 2 to 3 posts per day on the Vigor Ground page every single day, and 2 to 3 on Instagram. And then getting back to right now, I'm at 1 to 2 times a week emailing, and I'm trying to get back up to 3 times a week emailing. That's consistent, right? That's consistent. So if there's other things, what's another thing that we do all the time is SEO. So Google business profile, trying to get more reviews, making it off. Google business profile has its own, I would say, power, right? So you guys have heard of SEO, which is search engine optimization, meaning if you put in Renton personal trainer, Renton gym, gym in Renton, what pops up, that's SEO. If you're not ranking high or on the first page or the first 3, you got to change that, and there's ways to change it. Now, we cannot go into that today because that's probably going to be a whole topic in continuity. I'll give you guys resources for that. Like I said, there's a lot of things to cover. But here's the thing. Google's powerful because if you do a good job with Google Business Profile and your website on Google, you just get more leads. So when we switched up the website and improved our Google Business Profile, we went from having about 6, 7, 8 leads per month to 30. I mean, that's 3 to 4x. Right, 300 to 400% increase. So that's massive. Okay, so on a do it all the time, Google for me is up there. And one of our, I would say, High Physical Therapy, who has a PT clinic inside of our place, Zach, one of the owners, we're working on this SEO strategy now as well to bump up everything for us. And again, inside of our business coaching, we do that. By the way, Des, can you drop in? Des is going to drop into the chat. It's yogrowyurgym.com/memo. We launched something called the Memo, which $37 a month, which is outrageous. You get a physical newsletter, right? And a physical newsletter and 1 live call a month, live call a month where you can come ask questions and everything else. And it's $37 a month. And you'll have different strategies like this outlined every month in a physical newsletter and a downloadable newsletter. Okay? So is it in there? Did it pop in there? Okay, cool. Des just dropped it in there so you guys can click on that and see it. Because again, what I want to do is give you guys step by step. Do this thing, it'll get you results. Okay, but SEO and Google is important. So that's to do all the time. Contests and challenges, we don't have any one of them right now. September is always, so the 3 times a year where I believe they're a good thing to do is New Year's, pre-summer, and then for September, back to school. I'm not saying you can't do more than that, but I think those are the 3 times a year that they can do really well for everybody. I think 6 weeks is great because it's not too short, but it's not too long. And you can do them internal or external. I think it's smart to do both, right? Internal challenge for members. We've done plenty of those where they can bring friends and family. It's another way to get more new clients in, more leads in. And then ones that you promote, like marketing style actually promote, right? Then you have core events that you host and run. So for example, we've done quite a few nutrition seminars. I got another nutrition seminar coming up that I'm working on right now. Those do very well. Here's what's so cool about that, right? with technology now, what I don't want you guys to do go like, well, you got a really cool setup and all of this. But even before that, guys, listen, this right here, right? You can just put your phone up, and now you have an audience in front of you, like a physical seminar, and with your phone, you're going live on Facebook and recording it. You could even go live on Facebook and Instagram. So now you're getting a bigger audience. Like, you're basically hitting 3 different things at the same time, even though you're just physically doing this nutrition seminar, right? So think about that, because I feel like this is an example of our breakdown. But my point being is like, you should be structuring this out for yourself. Then you have joint ventures, partnering with other local businesses and programs. I believe that should be like on an ongoing basis a lot of the time. Again, we have connections with chiropractors, med spa next door, from hair salons, in the local area, restaurants. Like, you should be doing I would say joint ventures with just about everybody that you possibly can. I'll give you guys some ideas later on in the tactical side of things. Okay, from there you have community events. What are you going to do in the community? So we have a charity event, Memorial Day, that we do that every year. We're running for Happy Bundles. We're going to have a lot of people in for that. And then next month, community center is opening in Renton from one of the former Seahawks, Doug Baldwin. We're going to do something in collaboration with that and run a charity event. That's our goal there, to do stuff in the community, get in front of more people. Guess what? At the end of that, we'd make an offer for some type of trial with us. So we get in front of people, we do good work. And on top of that, we're able to get more audience in front of us. Remember, more eyeballs. And then holiday promotions. What holidays will you do something to bring new members? Well, there's 2 things. We got a July 4th promos coming up, but my birthday is June 5th. And June 5th, we do a big birthday special. I'll do 2 paid-in-fulls per year, right? 2 paid-in-fulls per year. First one is my birthday. Second one is Black Friday, right? But those will be outlined. That's actually a big cash influx. We do like these, we do about 20-25% off certain things, even more, depending on the program. But it's a paid in full for the year, so it brings in a whole bunch of cash, and it's been very successful for us. So every one of you should be able to go like, hey, what are we doing for the next month, from the next quarter, but definitely for the next month, and have it outlined. Like the stuff you do all the time, and then all these different things, and have them on a calendar, right? Because now you have a path and a plan. And I've said it a lot of times on these workshops before, whether it's training, whether it's business. If you have no path or plan, your default is going to be struggle. Okay, so that's one of the things. And then you have to be able to track things, okay? So here are the things that I believe you should track. Like everybody, like I don't care if you're a solo like coach or if you're a gym owner with a team. So this is the list of things that you should be tracking. Number 1, leads, right? How many leads are you getting? And then also, where are they coming from? And even, again, when leads are coming in, like just the question of, hey, what made you decide to reach out to us, and how did you hear about us, right? Because when you get the how did you hear about us, now you can find out where they're coming from. And what's really, really cool is that you're able to start seeing where majority of leads are coming from, right? And then a lot of times what that does is you go like, holy shit, like I didn't know they're coming from here. I could put more effort in that area, and then I could double, triple, quadruple my leads from that area. So when it comes to tracking, you should be tracking your leads. Your appointment set. Appointment set is basically people strategy session, right? Sitting down in front of you. If it's online, it means getting on actual call or Zoom, whatever it may be. Appointment show rate, right? Because if you set 10 appointments and your show rate was 3, that's a really low show rate. It means you have to improve getting people in. That means you have to have a better follow-up system. It might mean that you have to apply text messaging software, which actually, before I move forward with that, my favorite, and is what we're going to switch to right now because I love it so much, is Vagaro. So the client management software that integrates everything from scheduling, billing, text messaging software. It even has, this is what's so cool about it that makes it different than just about anything else. It has its own marketplace, so it'll generate leads for you, right? So people can search in your area and find the offers. We talked about offers, right? They find the offers, so you'll generate leads through just having the Vagaro software. They do a 30-month, so this is, by the way, it's phenomenal if you are a solopreneur and you're just a coach, or if you're a gym owner, right? Des will drop in, they have a 30-day free trial that you can check out. Like they have so much stuff and it's so simple to use, but it also helps you with managing and tracking all this stuff, right? Because any software that just creates simplicity for you and takes away that stress is powerful, and it's stuff that, like, again, why would you do more work when you can do a lot less, right? Implement softwares and systems to help you with that. So appointment show rate, then trials. We talked about we have a 30-day results in advance. So how many of those appointments turn to trials, and then how many turn to sales, right? Because some people might go into a trial, some people might convert from a trial to a member, some people might convert directly to a member. And then we go to drops, so cancellations, so how many people cancel their membership. Then you'd go upgrades and downgrades. So for example, somebody could be doing team training and then go to small group, or they go from 1 time a week semi-private to 2 times a week semi-private, right? So that would be an upgrade. They could also go into a downgrade, right? And then also holds. We usually do 30-day holds at most. People have to explain, why they're doing a hold. But these are the metrics, right? And then basically also you'd have your monthly revenue, and again, your incoming and also your expenses, right? So, but on the marketing side, this right here, the tracking is really important. And I can't say strongly enough how important this is, because even when you start doing this, it tells you a lot, right? It might tell you that, like, hey, we're not generating enough leads. For a lot of the businesses that I've worked with, they actually generate a decent amount of leads, but they don't have good follow-up. So they don't have enough appointments set. Their sales process needs work. So we need to improve their sales process so they not only get more sales, but that they get higher ticket sales, right? And so again, this is how we start analyzing the business and we start improving it. Like, this is what I do, essentially what me and Steve do, because we kind of zoom in on the business and go, like, here's stuff that needs to be worked on. And another thing that needs to be, that's really important, is your CPL, which is your cost per lead, right? And there's 2 ways to look at it. One is individual marketing channels. So I just gave you an example of Facebook, right? I'm running a Facebook lead ad right now that we're generating about $18 per lead, which, if 1 out of every 4 leads shows up to sit down in front of us in the next kind of 30 days, that means it costs us $72 for somebody to sit down in front of us. I wouldn't even say that's bad at all, because if we get 2 out of 4, that's $36. Hell yes. And if we can sell them into a trial that's $197 or a membership that's higher priced than that, it's a huge win. So you got to know your numbers, right? So that's an individual marketing channel. So if I'm spending money on YouTube, or I'm spending money on Google, or I'm spending money somewhere else, I want to know what my cost per lead is, because that's going to also determine how much money I'm willing to spend. The second one is global marketing budget. That just means, like, hey, I don't like that one that much, because it's like, this is how much money we're putting into marketing. The reason why I don't like it, because you might be burning money somewhere, not getting any results, and you're just spending it. But it's giving you an average cost per lead, right? Like, hey, I got a banner here, I'm running YouTube ads, I'm running Facebook ads, and the average cost per lead is this. But I don't like that, because you might be on a platform completely burning money that doesn't make sense, and you're still doing it, because the total overall cost per lead is not that bad. So here's the other thing that, cost per lead, why it matters so much. If you know your customer lifetime value, so there's something called CLV, right, or client lifetime value. So for example, right, if you get a client and the average client stays with you for 14 months and at $300 a month, that means that your customer lifetime value will be $4,200. Okay? So if you know that your average customer lifetime value is $4,200 or $2,200, and you're going like, oh, my leads are, for every person to sit down in front of me, it costs me $50, $60. Oh my God, it's too expensive. You're actually not understanding this well, because if you sell 1 out of 2 people and it costs you $60 for somebody to get in front of you, so that's $120, right? So $120 for you to sell somebody, or 200, whatever. But your customer lifetime value is $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000. Would you not spend $200 to bring in, $3,000 over the course of a year? Absolutely you would. So it means that you have to understand the numbers to justify, right? Because what I see a lot of times is people will start running ads. We'll literally give them ads like, this is what's working, right? We give them an ad that's working, and they're spending, $300-400, and they're like, oh man, I only sign up 1 or 2 people. Like, oh, but I spent 400. I'm like, hold on. How much did you sign them up for? And they're like, well, 200 bucks a month. What's your customer lifetime value? What do you mean? And then they check it and they're like, oh, 9 months. Okay, so you spent 300 bucks to get 2 clients that will bring in $1,800 over the course of the next 9 months. So you spend 300 to 400 to bring in 3,600. And then it's like, oh, okay. So you gotta know that, because otherwise you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot, not making decisions that can help your business grow. So it's very, very important, okay? All right, we'll take a little pause here. When I say little pause, I mean like little pause. Like 30-second pause for me to sip on this. Because then we're gonna get tactical and I'm gonna riff, guys. Like the tactical stuff, and we're gonna go like hardcore on this, because I wanna get through a lot, and again, the 2 hours, and then answer as many questions as I possibly can relating to this or anything else. So, okay, let's go into the tactics. Now, what's really important is this. I'm gonna say it over and over again. Making sure that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So for most, I would say, coaches, I'm like, how do you generate your leads? And I can't tell you how many times people are like, referrals, awesome, excellent, right? We'll talk about that. Or people online will be like, IG. I'm like, what else? That's it. That's all your eggs in one basket, right? You should have, if you think about going fishing, you should have many poles in the water, right? So if you have one pole in the water, that's just one opportunity to catch fish. If you have 10, like you got 10 opportunities. And ideally, those opportunities, some of them should be automatic. So when I go run Facebook ads, once you set it up, it's just going 24/7, right? I can go to sleep, a lead is being generated. If you get your Google set up nicely, right? Like what we talked about, Google Business Profile on your website, you're going to sleep, you're generating leads, right? One pole in the water, second pole in the water, right? Then there's obviously your email. Your email should be another one, right? And you can automate it. On Sundays, you can write 2 to 3 emails for the week. Boom, on Sunday you're done. Now you got 3 opportunities to get leads. That's another pole in the water. So you should have many poles in the water as possible. But let's start with the referral engine, right? Referral engine is like, you should have a system. There's 2 reasons why you don't get referrals. Number 1, you don't do a good enough job. Another one, that's another hard thing to hear, but you want to create as great of experience as possible so that people would want to talk about you, right? Like in this, again, I'm really fired up about that. A lot of the business coaching that we do is, dives into also the customer experience and the coaching side of things. Remember the 3 C's I talk about a lot: coaching, customer experience, culture, right? To bring those up so that you get referrals organically. But if you do a good job with that and you get some referrals, you also should be asking for referrals. So here's a couple of things. Here's a couple of referral strategies. Number 1 is called POS, point of sale. So the moment that somebody signs up for a trial, you should ask them, by the way, we do allow you to bring a friend or family member to your first training session. Who would you like to bring? Right? And a lot of times people will go like, oh, my sister, my friend, this, that, the other. Now you should also send, because it doesn't, a lot of times they won't remember. So send a POS email, so point of sale email afterwards, and the day after, reminding them, even a text. I'll put, like I mentioned, I'll put that email, the example of that email, inside when you buy the course. It'll be in a Google Doc, so you can kind of copy, paste it, and just adjust it for yourself, okay? Point of sale is a big one. VIP cards. There's a site called fitnessgiftcards.com that we used to use a lot and create these black cards, right? They look like American Express cards. The numbers would be raised. We'd make a nice Vigor logo on it. But here's the strategy behind that, okay? The goal is not, because I've heard people coach on like just giving those cards out. I'm like, no, they lose value when you do that. But let's say somebody's in your trial, right? And you're coaching them. And it's a woman and she talks about her husband. And her husband is like, he likes to run, but he's got back pain. So he hasn't been able to run because he's got back pain. And in week 2, right, you keep conversating. He's like, yeah, he's a fit guy, but like he's put on some weight because his main thing is running. He really enjoys running. But he hasn't been able to because his back is bugging him. So now you see the opportunity and go like, hey, listen, Mary, how about this? I will pay. Remember, don't say it's free, but give the card and go like, I will pay with this card. I'll pay for 30 days of his training here at Vigor Ground. He'll get coaching with me once a week. He'll get access to small group. In my small group, I can adjust things for him. We'll get him with physical therapy so they can see what's going on and help him out. That's on us, right? Injury and performance assessment, taken care of. I'll help him with nutrition. I'll help him with some anti-inflammation and getting the weight off, even though that he's not being so active. But I'll take care of it. right? So now I found an opportunity to create value for somebody that's already there that now brings in another person. Is it 100% guaranteed they'll come in? No. Is it high likelihood? Yes, absolutely it is, right? So that's a referral system and part of referral engine, okay? And by the way, those fitness gift cards, like for $250, you get like 1,000 or something like that, right? So like very, very low cost, but it can be very, very high value. And every new person that comes in, so remember, I just shared 2 different options in just the first month. Because remember, people are more likely to refer in the first 30 days of joining somewhere, right? Sometimes you'll have super fans, but a lot of times, look, people are very excited when they start something new, so that's when they talk about it. So create a system that helps them, I would say, get more people in. So that's the second one. Number 3 is bring a friend day. It sounds so old school, but listen, it works. So depending on how many different programs you have, if you have a big, large group training like team training, once a month, do bring a friend day. You got different small group strength training, so like our Strong Her Strength Camp, once a month. So now you got 3 different programs that are doing once a month, right? Semi-privates, one-on-one training, bring a friend day. So if you just do that once a month, and if you have 30 clients and half of them bring a friend, now you got 15 new people in front of you. It's basic, it's simple, but again, what does extraordinary mean? It means doing ordinary things extraordinary well, right? Taking an extra step, doing it really, really well, and doing it consistently. Number 3 is another example. Like I got plenty of these, by the way, like in our coaching, inside of the memo, we have a whole kind of masterclass on this stuff. But holiday referral card. So after the holidays, right? Basically, sending out, and again, I'll give you the breakdown and actual copy for the email to send out to your members. But giving everybody of your members a holiday referral card for 30 days, very successful. Right? Because again, like people are looking to give gifts for Christmas, so you gotta find in that gap. It's a timing thing, and then usually in the New Year's we'll get an influx of people that will convert to members and bump up your membership significantly, right? So that's the referral engine. And by the way, I got examples of like businesses that were doing decently well, and all we did is like focused on the referral engine for the next 90 days, and like they increased their business by like 25%, right? Because they just weren't doing it. They started doing that exceptionally well, and it was like mind-blowing, okay? And that's just one tactic here that you can employ. Then we go to grassroots marketing. Again, this is why, like, I don't think it's an either or. This is the mistake I see in the industry right now. Once media's, like, I'm a big believer in social media. I'm a big believer in doing lives. I'm a big believer in using, I would say, media to help people, to spread the message, to create opportunities to give value, and then also get leads. But people have stopped doing grassroots marketing, which I believe for brick and mortar businesses, if you're I even think that for online coaches, it's a hidden opportunity that people are not taking advantage of, is the grassroots marketing, what I call boots on the ground, right? Boots on the ground marketing. So let's rock and roll with some of this. Sponsorships. How many times has a booster club or a school or said like, hey, listen, would you give us some money and we'll put your name on a jersey and we'll put your thingy on one of the boards. And you know, I've done that in the past, like way long time ago. And cool, like it's basically what you're doing is a donation because you ain't never getting any leads from that, right? So what I'll do now is if people ask for money, I say, hey, you know, we've stopped doing those types of sponsorships a while ago, but here's what I will give you the $500 or I will invest $1,000 if you'll send 3 emails to your list promoting a discounted program for your audience, right? And here's the thing, majority of people will do it. They'll be like, oh yeah, for sure. Remember, you're not asking them for their email list. You're asking them to write an email that they will send to their audience. So for example, if it's going to a booster club for basketball, I'm the head strength coach of Bellevue Basketball, would go like, hey, I'll donate to the booster club. Will you send out an email? And we're going to do an 8-week off-season basketball program that's $800 per kid, right? And you get 14, 15 kids in. You just did $12,000 for an investment of $1,000 into the booster club, right? By the way, this stuff works because especially if it's your audience, right? Or for example, if you go to the parents and you go like, hey, listen, we have a program. We have a 6-week transformation challenge that usually is $4.99, but because you're part of, I know, Bellevue Basketball, it's going to be $3.99, right? And you get 10 moms in, and it's $4,000, and you put $500. Like, it's an 8x ROI. And if those clients stay afterwards, that $500 might have made you $20, $30, $40,000, right? Again, this is a different approach that most people don't really understand well, but all you did was tweak and go like, yeah, you know what? I'd be for sure down to sponsor, but here we're not doing it this way anymore, but I'm willing to and open to do it this way. And majority of people will be like a yes, because they don't understand email marketing and it's creating value for everybody. So that would be the sponsorship route. That's like one quick example here. Number 2 is table at the fair, 5Ks, Renton River Days, things of that nature, right? And again, there was a time where it's like we did a lot of that, then I stopped doing it. And again, it's like now coming back to it going like, no, actually it's smart. Here's the way that you have to do it though, okay? Got to give away something of value. So when you set something up, I'm always a big fan of, hey, give away, for instance, 30-day results in advance program with all the kind of bells and whistles is a $500 value, right? And having other prizes that make sense, like for instance, having a Nike backpack, like where you get, customized shoes, hoodie, whatever else it may be. So people will give you, to get into that raffle, right? To win that, they'll give you their phone number, they'll give you their email, because that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to get their contact information. And then you want to do something that's going to attract people. So for example, I like having 2 different things where you have challenges, like a push-up challenge, a V-sit challenge. But then for kids or for like athletes or even like a lot of dads will do this. You bring out the Just Jump mat, right? The Just Jump mat, you stand on it, you jump, and it shows you the vertical, right? People like being competitive. Bam, so now you got, because everybody's watching like, oh, it's just like at the fair, smashing with the hammer, trying to ring the bell. And you got different things that people can do and test out. So it's attracting people. You got something of value to give away. And you have a 1-page direct response handout. So the direct response handout should have 2 things on it. A case study of the audience you want to attract. So for example, if it's moms, right? And you go like, here's a story of Jenny, and Jenny has got 2 kids. She had a tough time losing weight. And she has a case study and testimony of how Vigor Ground helped her do that. And then part 2 is like, here's a special offer for our 30-day results in advance program. That's usually $197, but until this date, it's $147 for everybody from Renton River Days. All you got to do is text this number, right? So now we're creating an opportunity to get leads. Make sense? So 3 things: something of value, something that attracts people, and a direct response handout. By the way, this works straight up. And the thing is, you will probably have more success if you do this, and if you're engaging and you talk to people, you shake hands, kiss babies, take their numbers, right? Than you would running a Facebook ad. And again, I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both, right? And you get your face out in the community. Joint ventures, we talked about this before. We're doing one probably with the community center. We've done a number of charity events with High Def. There's so many opportunities here, by the way. It's not even funny, right? And I want to connect this with what I call, I learned this from Russell Brunson. Some people call it the angel list. He called it the Dream 100. It's like writing out the 100 people that you want to connect with in your community. They don't have to be fitness people. Who's the top real estate person? Like I go to the coffee shop all the time. Boom, boom, the best coffee in Renton. It's like, I know this is like worldwide, but if you're in Renton, you better go there and get some coffee. It sounds like I'm sponsored, but Afram, who's the owner, I've connected with him. Like I always have all these people that I want to connect with, and then find ways to deliver value to them. Like I have a big audience on all social media. But guess what? I'm always posting and promoting like these local businesses just because I think they're great businesses. And when I see the owners, they're always like, hey, thank you so much for promoting us, right? So I'm delivering value. I ask nothing, right? I'm not asking anything. Now, when there's a time to go and collaborate, right? You go and you make an ask. Like, hey, listen, guy, I would love to do 30 days of training for your whole staff on me, right? On me. I'd love to do it, maybe make a challenge out of it, get everybody fit. What'd you think about that? Right? And you go, so here's the thing. First of all, don't go in with an offer of doing free, because that kind of can, to people that are of influence, that can sound like a bribe, right? What you do is you build a connection and relationship first. You give value first, okay? Very, very important. And the thing is, there's different ways that you can give value, right? So there's 3 things when it comes to like the Dream 100/Angel List. 3 rules I have. You have to stand out. You've got to stand out. And look, how you can stand out, like, by the way, like, a long time ago, I ended up going and buying, like, I think it was 500. It was a lot of books from Gary Vee. I ended up having a meeting with him in New York. I would say he became my pal, right? But I spent a lot of money to get that meeting for 3 hours. and we had some mutual friends, so it kind of built into a connection, which was awesome. But then I had a shit ton of books, more than I could give away to everybody in the gym. Guess what? I went to my barbershop, right? I gave everybody at the barbershop the book, because it was the Ask Gary Vee book, if you guys remember. Every person I saw, I would go to local business and be like, hey, by the way, have you read this book? All right, cool. Wrote a little something in there, boom. Gave away probably 120, 130 books. I know that because I know how many I gave out in the gym and how many I had left, to like local business owners and just people that I knew, like real estate agents, things like that, right? So they just right there, I stood out and I created something of value. Then it's easy to follow up. Hey, want to grab a coffee? Would love to hear like what's working for you. I got some ideas, maybe it'll help you out. Maybe I can, if you need, put it this way. For example, for real estate, if you go like, hey, if you need, we got new people coming in. If they need a real estate agent, want to refer them to you. So that you can do all the time. Always have a running tab, right? Have a running tab, meaning have an Excel sheet, have some type of CRM where you know who you're talking with and you can follow up with them. It's a game changer. People are not doing this. Like, people are not doing this. It's a massive opportunity, but it takes work. And number 3, by the way, you have to ask for help. By the way, if you read about this, like when you ask people for help, right, they basically reciprocate, okay? So you have to ask them for help. So stand out, give first, and give as much as possible, and then you got to ask them for help. So it's an important part. From there, we got our core events, contests, challenges, holidays. So one of the things that I brought up before, I was hoping that we'll be able to run it in June. We're going to move it to September, is a small business transformation challenge. So this is an example of like, it's actually molding multiple things. We're going to give back to the community, but in September, for every small business owner and their employees, it'll be 30 days of training at Vigor in team training for free. So we're going to do a nutrition kickoff, make it a challenge. So whichever business wins, they win like 90 days of corporate. But the whole story, and I've already created a landing page. Actually, we can put that example of the landing page in the video in there. We'll put it, if you get the course, I'll put the example of the landing page I created with the video, where I basically just say like, hey, it's been the 3 hardest years for small business ever. I've been a small business owner in Renton for 15 years, and it's been challenging for me. And what we do best is help people transform, help people get their energy back, productivity back. It can create camaraderie within your business, help people get healthier, be more productive. And so that's what we're going to do. And it's like, what's the catch? There is no catch, right? A lot of people, when they come through our gym, they choose to stay and continue with us. But we just want to give back to small business. We want to give back to the community. And if you come in with your team, whoever is going to win, it's going to be fun, it's going to be challenging. Like, you'll also get 90 days of corporate training, right? That's the spiel. Now, we may run into a problem where there's so many people that we might have hundreds of people that sign up for it, but it's a good problem to have. So that would be an example of a challenge in a different kind of angle. Feel free to steal it, mirror it. I mean, give me a shout out. But hey, listen, if you're helping people, it's all about that. We talked about contests and then holiday stuff. And then sweepstakes. We did sweepstakes back in the day. We're going to probably start doing it again. And sweepstakes is, here's an idea, right? Where you put out to your email list, to social media, that you're going to pick 4 people to go through a 6 or 8 week program at your gym. Like, you're going to take care of it. So they win the sweepstakes, right? And those people that win, you follow them. Meaning that, like, when I say follow them, it's like you start creating stories around their transformation. It bumps up their accountability. It becomes media stuff. You can actually get news involved around it, right? But you get tons of people on the email list, hundreds and hundreds of people. The last time we did a sweepstake, which was years ago, but we had 1,300 people that opted in. The way we did it back then, there was winners, and then everybody else got 10 days of training on us, right? So we got a whole bunch of leads through that sweepstakes. But now the people that win, you can kind of create almost a little reality TV show to show people how they're transforming, right? So guys, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you because whatever hits you and you're like, holy shit, we need to do that, do it. But this is like boots on the ground stuff, right? This is the stuff that like works. We've done it. It hasn't stopped working. People have just stopped doing it. And I think it's more powerful than ever. So for holidays, remember, like this is a great way to, when you do Valentine's Day, 2-for-1 specials. I just talked about Black Friday. We have a huge paid in full. For my birthday is a huge paid in full. What are some other holidays that you can take advantage of to have promos to get people in the building, right? Seminars and lunch and learns. I'll do those 2 together. So there was a year, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2010, a long time ago. 2010, I went and did like 22 lunch and learns in a matter of about 6 months, right? I went on a roll, and it was one of the most powerful things that I did. I would go to local small businesses, Red Lions Club, like different organizations, not just businesses, And most of those presentations, actually a lot of them were mindset, but I did a lot of habits and a lot of nutrition stuff, right? And it would be audiences of 8 to like 50, 100, right? So small to big. I got really good at presenting, but a lot of people got to know me. I'd always make an offer at the end, right? So it'd be very, very valuable information that people could take and roll with, and they'd be between 30 to 60 minutes long, right? So however much time they had. And at the end, I'd usually pitch our trial, right? So, and the things, we got a ton of leads through that. Sometimes I'd only get 1 or 2. Sometimes I'd get 12, right? But the thing is, companies are always looking, especially right now, I mean always, but just especially right now, they're looking for people to come in and speak about health and wellness, right? It's the hardest time because mental health is at its lowest it's ever been, and physical health is. So you think that like people want you to come in, but guess what? If you call and you call the company and go, hey, right now I'm doing this presentation on this, that, and the other. I got a pretty booked schedule, but I still got some openings. Would you guys be open for me to come in and talk about simple nutrition that anybody can apply to improve their energy, drop weight, be more productive, have clearer focus, right? And it's like, the thing is, for most companies in your local area, you could probably go and talk to the decision maker, go talk to the owner, right? Like I can tell you, like Whistle Stop Ale House has 27 employees, right? And I was like, when the owner told me that, I was like, damn, I didn't know you were 27. I thought it was way less, right? So it's like one smaller kind of restaurant that has 27, 20, 30, 40, 50 employees, right? And you can go speak in front of those people, deliver a lot of value, and get them to try you out. Okay, here's the difference maker. I always say this quote over and over and again, right? What's difficult is scarce, and what's scarce is valuable. Is it difficult to go like for an hour, hour and a half a week, make calls and send emails to all the local different organizations and businesses to go speak? I would say it's not crazy difficult. But if you get like 3 speaking engagements in the next 5, 6 weeks, is that difficult? Yeah, it's not easy, right? Because you got to be willing to remember, public speaking is something people are afraid of. So if you can step into that fear, then guess what? You become that person that's positioned in your area as the expert, right? And you're going to get ahead of everybody else, period, right? So it's your call. I'm letting you know this stuff works. I've done it. I've coached it. But I remember what it did for my business. This was, remember, 2010, 2012 is kind of like when Facebook popped and exploded a little bit more. In 2010, and I'm going around, I'm in a little garage. I'm just getting in front of as many people as possible. Those were all game changers, by the way, right? Game changers. And here's some things that I didn't even put on here, but that I used to do. And like now, I'm kind of like, my shit, I want to start doing that again. I'd go to a local supplement store, and we had these boxes where people would fill them out, and they could win 30 days. Back then, it was called Renton Results Bootcamp, right? You'd fill it out, and every month, somebody would win 30 days of Renton Results Bootcamp. And every week, I'd show up there, and there'd be like 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 forms. Some of them were scribbles and bullshit, but I would hit every single person up. And we would give one person 30 days, and everybody else would go like, hey, listen, like, unfortunately you didn't win, but we are allowing you, to take advantage of 7 days of training at our facility. And they'd have their phone number, their email. I'd keep following up. And the conversion wasn't high, but guess what? Like every month I'd probably get about 5, 6, or 7 people from those lead boxes so I'd pick them up, right? Every 2 weeks, every week to every 2 weeks, and just basically take out all the filled out forms and then put it back there, right? And we'd have it from super supplements to our chiropractor. We'd have it in different places, right? And then also yard signs, right? Now when you have text messaging software, having yard signs that are very clear, right? To where you go, 30-day results in advance program will help you get more energy, feel better, drop weight, or your money back, text this number, right? And then bam, people text you and you got leads, and they're just driving by, and you just do it strategically in spots where cars slow down and they're waiting, right? This is like old school shit that works, period, right? And again, I'm speaking from experience, not just reading some theoretical manual, because I've been in business for 16 years, counting the Slovenian gym. We've done it all. Right? And the sad thing is that some of the things that work, people stop doing because it's too easy, right, to just be on here, clickety-clacking, which again, I believe in this, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and there's so many opportunities right there in front of you that you're not taking advantage of, okay? Charity events, probably one of the things I love the most about. I was out of town. I had one of our coaches, Jess, organize one for Happy Bundles. We had 60, 70 people. Here again, like really big crowd. Raised was crazy because somebody came in and donated a huge amount. So we actually raised $23,000, which is mind-blowing for Happy Bundles. But so that part of it, I think, is the best part of it. That's better than the getting more people into your building and stuff like that. Like with charity events, you can give back to the community and you get new people to experience your business, and then you can sign them up as trials and have them experience you as well, right? If you're into, I would say, if you are in the sports performance business, speed demos, right? Speed demos, we did a number of contracts, which were like 3, 4, 5-month contracts with whole high schools, and we'd come in and we'd do a speed demo, and we just do stuff differently. We have 60, 70, 80 kids. We'd have the football coaches. We'd present on like basically injury prevention, doing mobility drills, you know, doing running drills, and then chaos training, meaning like reactive stuff. And they loved it, right? And basically to go back, Booster Club, we'd sign a deal. And you can do this, I mean, go to high schools, go to different organizations where they need speed. And again, it can be on the court speed with basketball stuff. It can be football, it can be lacrosse, it can be soccer. We'll actually put some resources inside of that when you get the when you buy this course, with some email templates that you can do. Because I'm going to talk about this more at the end, like scheduling your time to just be like blocked in and you're working on this stuff, right? No other distractions. It's like weekly you block out a time to do this grassroots marketing, okay? And then we talked about the email marketing machine, right? So we talked about email already a little bit, but start with this, right? Just a list of all your clients, all your past clients, all your past leads. That should all go on an email list. I use Aweber. I started emailing like 15 years ago, so I think ConvertKit is great. I'll just stick to like ConvertKit, MailChimp, Aweber. Those are great ones to start with. And then write emails that aren't too long, 250 to 500 words. I already mentioned some resources for you guys. I will probably put some more resources inside of the course. I want to give you guys as much as possible to get you going. And then don't send out long branded newsletters. Right? When people get like a really long newsletter, they just look at that shit and go like, right? It has to be educating, entertaining, inspiring. It's got to make you money. So there's something that like a marketer that I've been fortunate to be around some of the greatest marketers and learn from them directly, from Frank Kern and Dean Jackson and Joe Polish and Dan Kennedy. But Dean Jackson created this thing called the super signature. It's a PS. So it means at the end of every email, you write, whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways that I can help you, right? So you write your email. It's all content. It's all education and entertainment. And then you say, P.S., whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways I can help you. Number 1, get started with our 30-day results in advance program at Vigor Ground Gym. And it's like you have a link. Click here. Number 2, download this free ebook that will help you with your nutrition, for example, right? So they click there. They download the ebook. Number 3, email me back if you want to change your body for good and you want to have the show and the go, you know, subject line, athlete for life. So usually what you do is do something that's like cheaper, something that's free, and something that's higher ticket, right? But what it means is that every time you send out an email, you have a selling opportunity, right? That's why it's so cool about that super signature. It's like it's non-salesy. It's like, hey, whenever you're ready. By the way, whenever you're ready, right? Here's 3 ways I can help you. And you put 3 links in there that people can click to and go to, and you can sell. It's one of, by the way, if you don't email and you start emailing once a week, that's 52 weeks out of the year, and you add that super signature PS, you have 52 calls to action in a year. If 1 out of 2 times a person clicks on something and becomes your client or becomes a lead, that's 26. What if you got half of that, 13 clients at $300 to $400 a month? You see what I'm saying? Like you just made $50,000 from sending that PS signature, right? So these are the things that like really, really stack up and create momentum and are very, very, very powerful, okay? So from there, I left this at the end. It's called the 6x6 strategy. My number, like in college and when I play pro, my number in basketball is 6. So that's kind of like my little 6 thing going. But it's like 6 days a week, talk to 6 people, okay? It was a mentor of mine back in the day that challenged me to do 5 days a week, 5. I turned it to 6x6 because I'm an overachiever. So, but we've used this, and it's like, it's crazy how successful it is, especially now with media. Because what I would say is like, this doesn't have to be just in person, which I would say like at least half in person, half online. So start conversations, right? It means every day talk to 6 people. So if you put a post up on social media and somebody comments back onto you, you comment back. Hit them up in the DMs and go like, hey, I know you liked and you commented on my low back, you know, mobility drills. Let me send you a video with coaching cues. Hope it helps. right? That person is not going to be like, oh, I hate you. They're going to probably be like, oh, thanks, man, I appreciate that, right? They already engaged with you, and you click that off as one conversation. And then put into an Excel sheet, write down their IG, write down their Facebook, right? Write down the date that you talked to them, and then follow up, okay? In person, somebody comes to FitBar, you're at a Safeway. The thing is, this is more about connecting with people. By the way, most people in this country, right now, we have 77% obese or overweight with 38% obesity, right? Which means that majority of people need help, right? So if you're at a store, the type of stuff that I love to do, I see somebody with cool shoes or a shirt, I'm like, man, those are some dope shoes, man. Where'd you get those? And then we start a conversation, right? And I can't tell you the amount of times that the conversation turns to like, what do you do? Oh, like, oh, look at the, wow, like you're shopping, you got all healthy food. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a transformation coach. I own a gym. I help people transform. People go like, damn, I need a transformation. I'm like, how about this, man? Like, let me get your number. I'll follow up with you. Come in for a workout. Let's talk. Let's figure out how we can get you in the shape that you want to be. And like, if you have 6 conversations per day, I'm telling you, it's that simple. It's not easy, but it's that simple. That's 36 conversations a week. That's 144 conversations per month. Are you telling me that if 10% of those conversations turn into leads, that's 14, 15? Just because you had 6 conversations a day. The thing is, are you willing to do that? That's the question, right? Because there's a lot of people that will say stuff, I really want to build my business. And then all the stuff that I'm talking about, it's like, whoa, man, I'd rather just like type on the phone a little bit, press play, and hope that I get 50 leads. It's not going to happen, right? Building your business, it's work, but it's worth it. I'm giving you like the blueprint on how to do it, but you got to do it. Okay. Damn. All right, where we at, Desi? All right, that means I got to rip. I've got to rip, my friends. Good thing is, I got to be on a live podcast at 3, so we still got some time. All right. Social media. By the way, I already said we're going to put my slides from this year's presentations. I've just been improving this presentation. By the way, I think it's fire. It is fire. It's been very well kind of taken in every time I present on it. But it's content that educates, entertains, positions, and sells. So you'll get all the slides that actually cover some of this stuff in slide form, but I'll break it down. So when we get to social media, look, again, you notice these words that I keep saying: educate, entertain, and inspire, right? And the biggest problem I'll talk a little about like here. Actually, I put it down here. So I finished writing the book. We're going back through the edits. There's still kind of a bunch of stuff to do. We'll probably launch in September. The person that helped me write this book is Sean Hyson. Sean Hyson was men's fitness editor for a long time. He's written like a lot of books for Men's Health. He's the head of content for On It right now. Excellent writer. And he helped me write this book. And when he worked for Men's Fitness, he told me that basically they would spend $50,000 per month to figure out which headlines to use. What? $50,000 per month. So the reason I say this is like being good at research on, like if somebody spends $50K a month on headlines, you should probably steal that, or should I say mirror that, because it's going to help you out and not have to spend $50K, right? Because you want to talk, when you do social media, you want to talk to your ideal client. And then you want to research who has your audience, and also like create variations of content of those experiences. And I'll give you some examples and headlines because I don't know if you can see them here on the light. But remember, like this is the mistake. Fit pros a lot of times create content for other fit pros. Now listen, one of my businesses is helping fit pros out, so I create content for that. But if you're a gym owner, if you're a coach, who do you want more, which client do you want more of, right? And that to me is the number one way. You can see I wrote here, number way. Who are your best clients? Like who are the clients that you want more of? Like if you have an incredible client, they invest the most money with you, and you love coaching them, what would happen if you have 50 clients like that? It'll change your business. What if you had 100 clients? So you want to talk to that client. So what problems, obstacles did they come to you with? Right, when they hired you, what were they struggling with? What obstacles couldn't they overcome? What are you helping them overcome, right? So, and what struggles do they have right now? It's not like they hired you and they magically overcame all the struggles, right? It's a process to get them to change their whole life. And so what are you already solving? What are you already solving, and how? Right now, that is the content that you should be creating, right? Do you have a journal and notebook that you write down every problem that people bring to you? That's the best content fodder, right? Like meaning somebody comes in and it's just like, man, like I've struggled with energy. Like, okay, let's talk a little bit about your day. And you realize that like their sleep is shit. They drink caffeine late. They are, you know, they don't do any movement hygiene. They sit all day long, right? You start finding all these things and then you start working with them on solutions. The content that you create should be that, because now it's speaking to more of your best clients, right? And it's going to attract more of those people. So that's the easiest way to figure out which content to create. And I like this. So inside of the slides that I'll share with you guys, that I'll give to you guys, I have this little slide as like, think of it like as the main topic. What's the big topic, right? So if you think about fat loss, a lot of people want to drop body fat, get healthier, right? Can you make one post that explains fat loss? Of course not. You know, I mean, unless you got the people are like, just eat less calories. That's dumb, right? It's not dumb eating less calories. It's like just saying that as content doesn't make sense. But you can break fat loss down into like, hey, emotional eating, not eating enough protein, adding strength training, improving sleep, because we know that if you don't sleep enough, it's related to overeating. Right? And the thing is, so now you got all these smaller problems. And under each smaller problem, so think about like eating more protein. How many different strategies of eating more protein can you create? Either as an IG post, as a Facebook post, as a video, as an article, right? It's endless. It's endless. Or somebody that's struggling with hip and low back pain. Okay, you can talk about movement hygiene. You can talk about changing the lift so that it doesn't bother the back. You can talk about exercise form. You can talk about bringing people into a more parasympathetic state because they're really stressed out and they're so toned, and that's not helping their back pain. And again, like there's so many different things that you already are doing, that you already know, and now you just have to put it into a content frame. Now, this is where I like to use things when I said men's fitness. Like these are actual titles from Men's Fitness magazines that they spent $50,000 a month on. So, build a back of steel, right? They spent a ton of money figuring out that hits. So how could you change that? You could change that to like builds glutes of steel. You could use that exact same one. 5 exercises to build back of steel. My favorite 5 exercises to build a back of steel, right? Age erasers, 5 ways to look and feel younger. Right, that hit. Okay, you can do, instead of 5 ways, you could do 7 ways. You could do 9 ways. You could do 3 ways. You could write it as an article. You could create a video series. You could do so many different things with that, but you know it works because they spend 50 grand figuring that out, right? Get your body back, the best exercises of all time, right? That's always like a iffy one, but here's the thing, it hits. So put your best exercises of all time. Your action plan to drop 2 waist sizes. Couldn't you write an article or make a carousel post that on Instagram that does that? 10x your life, get more done, waste less of your time. Everybody wants to be more productive. Again, this is a men's fitness title. 7 power supplements for men. 6 of the most important supplements for women. I could go down the list because you can tweak it, but you already know that these are some things that are hitting, right? So again, there's a lot of options, and like that last slide on that last board, I'll kind of give you guys this idea of how this looks like, because it's important that you can organize your time and you're not all over the place with this, right? But again, these are principles of how you can be more effective at creating content. Because then when we look at like how to grow your Instagram or Facebook, it's very similar. You have to, like, the number one thing is creating valuable, useful content. It's the number one thing, right? And then as you create the content, learn from it. When you see certain things that are working better, guess what? Promote them, right? So right now, actually, like right before we went live, I put up a post that I had a feeling is going to do really well. Let's see if it's doing really well. Okay. Is it doing really well? Yes, it is. Okay, and here's the deal, right? If something's doing really well, I'm going to promote more of it. That's the other thing, right? I'm like, oh, carousel posts are killing it for me. Okay, if I do this type of tweet post, it's killing me. Like, you have insights on Instagram that will tell you what's doing well. Okay, do more of what's doing well. That is still talking to your audience. This is important, right? Maybe you do a cat video that goes viral, but that doesn't mean shit because it's not going to get you more clients. It's not going to create value for your audience, right? So number 1 is valuable content. 2 is collaborations. I think they're very important. Don't get bogged down on like, oh, Luca, you know all these people that have big followings, so like you do collabos with them. No. Do collabos with local influencers in different industries, right? I promise you, like, you'll get some of their audience. Do you think a real estate person has a larger audience or is very influential locally? They don't have to have huge numbers. They have to be influential locally. And you do stuff with them that you're not going to get some of that following, and that's your audience, because they're more likely to come to your gym. They're more likely to hire you as a coach. And then engagement. Engagement is big. This is where people miss the point. This is why I said comment back to people, message them, be a human, start conversations. So things like polls in your stories, questions, IG Live, right? Another very underutilized thing is going live on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram and Facebook love that. They'll give you more audience. They'll give you more reach. Sharing and tagging. Like a thing, Jen Gottlieb, I was speaking with her at Coaching Con. She's a huge kind of influencer that teaches people how to build their social media channels. And she gave me a really good strategy. She was like, hey, every day for 15 minutes, I have a list of people that I want to connect with, and I comment on their stuff. I like it. I share it. And I just engage with it as much as I possibly can. And that's how The Rock shared one of her things, and then she messaged The Rock messaged her back. Pretty cool. That happened because of this, right? Tagging, sharing, commenting, and do it for the right reasons. But guess what? Like, that's a lot of times how, I've engaged with some people, got them on my podcast, big authors, that started with just communication. So this is a very, very good and important thing. Now, the reason why I said engagement, here's a crazy statistic. Typical cell phone user touches their phone 2,617 times. Real stat, right? Extreme cell phone user, which is me and you, don't lie, you know you are, right? Is 5,400 times per day. So 5,400 times per day you're on your phone. Which is why, like, the thing is that if somebody engages with your content, Instagram will show them more of your stuff. Facebook will show them more of your stuff. Now you can advertise to them because you can do retargeting and like all this cool, snappy, crazy stuff. So do more things like ask questions, do polls in your stories, create more questions in your stories, right? Make people touch the screen, because those people will now see more of your content and engage with you more, right? So those are the three big ones. And this one, I always like, this is so tactical that I want to, like, I've shared it before. It's actually from my friend Craig Ballantyne, who's a savage with this stuff and taught me this. It's the social storytelling system, okay? So if you wanted to generate clients, leads, through your stories on this, right, for online or offline. So what you do, there's a 6-phase story selling system. Number one, you'd start with an email subject line curiosity, but it's a story, right? So let's say I'm talking to guys and I'm like, hey, would you like to get your college body back, but you feel like you can't because your joints are always hurting, and you think that the training that you have to do is going to beat up your joints and just make you tired, right? So that would be, and I wouldn't just do the video, I would put a tagline on there, and the tagline would be like, are you a guy that thinks they can't get their college athlete body back, right? And then problem, personal, poll, right? So that's like you're bringing the problem up and you can create a poll out of it. So I'd be like, hey, most guys would like to get their college back, but they think that the way that they have to train is going to beat them up and they don't have time. And because they have nagging injuries, they just can't do it, right? And then I would put like a poll. Do you want to get your college body back? Hell yeah. No, I'm good with the dad bod, or I'm good the way I am. And they'd click one or the other one, right? Number 3, I teach or preach. Teach or preach would be like, hey, it's not about training like the pros. It's about finding the right model for you that keeps your joints healthy, makes you stronger, look like an athlete, perform like an athlete, but without all the nagging issues, right? So it's all about finding the right exercises and volume for you. And that's where people make a mistake, because they follow pro athletes' programs and they get beat up, right? So I just did teach and preach. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is getting the right amount of volume, the right exercises for you for where you're at. And listen, like, I've been a pro athlete and I beat myself up, and at age 42 in the best shape of my life, because I figured this out. I figured out the right amount of volume, the exercises, the movement hygiene to help you feel the best. 5th, story, share social proof. Now, I can put a before and after picture of one of my clients. I can put a text message that I got from one of my online guys with a picture that goes like, I haven't felt this good in my 20s. I'm down 22 pounds. All my performance markers are up. Thank you. Boom. That's social proof. 6th, story, clear call to action. I go, so hey, listen, if you want to work with me individually to become an athlete for life, DM me and we'll get you started on a 90-day program, right? For example, that's a very, very clear call to action. Now, this is the actual system. You can do it every damn day. I wouldn't do it every damn day, but if you're not doing it at all, do it once a week. Then do it twice a week. Then do it 3 times a week, because the more often you do it, the more often you're going to get leads, right? Because again, this is a framework, right? We're creating like the curiosity awareness that we started with, right? Curiosity awareness. Then we're creating what's the problem? What's the solution? Hey, are you one of the people that have the problem? All right, let me teach you something. And let me preach. Let me give you a takeaway. And then it's like, let me give you social proof of people just like you that I've helped. All right, here's what to do if you want to work with me and get these results. It's a system. So if you're an online coach, this works. If you're an offline coach, this works. And it gets you good at doing this stuff. And I'm telling you guys, like, it just hammers and it's successful. So that's basically, now look, depending on what, like social media, think about this. I'll talk about repurposing. If I do an Instagram post, guess what I do? I download it, I upload it to Facebook, and then I take it and put it on YouTube Shorts. And then I think LinkedIn has become something that I'm going into as well, because LinkedIn has now become more of a, I would say, content creator platform. So stuff that you do on Instagram and other platforms do well on LinkedIn as well, right? We don't have a time to do a deep dive on YouTube because, like, look, at the end of the day, it goes back to the same thing, right? Being useful and being valuable. I think YouTube is a long game. You know, again, I've reached a pretty good audience, and I've really played the long game. So it's not, YouTube is not one of those things that's like, let me start creating videos and next week I'm going to get a ton of clients for my coaching and gym business. But I do feel it has a ton of potential, like, for you to actually educate and share your journey and teach people, but not give a shit about the outcome short term, right? So that's just my 2 cents on that one. Okay, we're on board 3. Are we 2 hours in yet, Des? Just hit it. All right, so we're still gonna go through this and finish on this part because I want to show you guys some stuff. Look, I wanted to show you also some things that, you know, people don't talk about a lot, like, because now it's like all social, but I wanted to give you some frameworks on blog writing, right? Because look, there's four high value skills that will never go out of style that will make you money. One is writing. Even with ChatGPT and all that stuff, if you can write well, I'm telling you right now, it's a superpower. Because guess what? You can write better text, you can write better emails, you can write better headlines, you can write better copy, articles, all of it. And actually, the better you write, the better you are at speaking on camera as well. Number 2 is presenting. So whether it's on camera, on a stage, that will never go out of style, right? Number 3 is sales, and number 4 is leadership, right? So those are the 4 big ones. And what I want to say is, like, people just went away from writing for a while. But guess what? Everybody here probably has heard of James Clear, right? Or Seth Godin. James Clear, you know, was writing blog articles that were read by so many people, and then he got the Atomic Habits book deal, which now has sold, I think, like 5 million, which is bananas, right? If not more. It's some crazy number. But the thing is, people still read his blog. Seth Godin wrote a blog every day. It was like really short. I read it every day for like years. I still go back and read it because it's good stuff, right? So it's not about the thing. So the thing might be IG, or it might be YouTube, or it's about the quality of the content, right? Is it engaging? Is it entertaining? So I wanted to give you guys a strategy. It's called the Greatest Hits Content Strategy, which makes sense to write for your website, for your blog. And because, again, I'm a big fan of, I call it the web of content, right? Don't put too many eggs in just one bucket, and this allows you to diversify, right? So the Greatest Hit Content Strategy is like this. You go to your email list or to your social media and you ask them 3 questions. It's a survey, so you can do it on SurveyMonkey, you can do it on Typeform, and you say, hey, what's the biggest challenge you have getting result with your expertise? So let me just ask the question, because this is and by the way, you guys will get this, so you'll see what I'm saying. But if I was asking people how to get more leads from content marketing, I'd say, what's the biggest challenge you have getting more leads and sales with content marketing in your business? So that would be my number 1 survey question. The second question would be, who have you bought marketing training from in the past? Right? So let's say if you're a nutrition coach, you say, who have you bought nutrition coaching training from in the past? Or who have you bought nutrition training from in the past? Right? Number 3 is, what marketers do you let into your inbox? Or what trainers do you let into your inbox? What nutritionists do you let into your inbox? Depending on what your, I would say your audiences, right? So these three will tell you, like, what's the biggest challenges that people face, which other people are they basically getting and buying stuff from, and then who do they let into their inbox. That tells you a lot. And then based on those surveys, you would create content that solves those challenges. Now, I got a couple examples here for headlines, and you'd want them to be really good, by the way, right? Really good. And the thing is, if you're not a writer, guess what? You can outsource to somebody for $500 to write you a kick-ass article about the topic, right? So that makes a lot of sense. But let's look at headline formulas. Number plus power word plus topic. So example, 10 unconventional content marketing case studies that can 10x your traffic. Right? The headline tells you a lot. Hold up. Unconventional, which is the word that pulls people in, right? Case studies, and it will 10x your traffic. Right? So now imagine if it was 10 unconventional nutrition strategies that can finally help you get over your obstacles, your nutrition obstacles. And I'm making these up on the spot, right? But like, second one is result plus action plus weird fact. How I made $100,000 from one blog post with 688.71 ad spends. But again, that headline is going to pull you in, and you're actually talking about how something happened, right? This might be like, how I lost 47 pounds from this one nutrition strategy that I first thought was weird, right? It's very curiosity driven. And then you'd write an article about it, and it would be a solid article about some nutrition strategy that's really helped some of your clients, and maybe create a case study in there. The thing is that like these articles can get you leads and can get you clients, right? And you can run ads to them, and by the way, like they might even rank really well on SEO. What's cool about them that in every article you should have a call to action at the end. The call to action should be to work with you in some way, right? You've given them all this great information, and it's just like, hey, set up a transformation or a strategy session call for me to help create a blueprint for your transformation, right? But also, there's something called utility content upgrades. Okay, so what are utility content upgrades? Within the article, you have, for instance, Athlete for Life meal design template. Hey, put your email in here and download it. Right? We'll give you the meal design template. Now you get their email, and guess what? Now they're in your ecosystem. Number two, Athlete for Life training program design checklist, right? So if I was going to write an article about how to become an athlete for life, have the show on the go, now you have these things that they can download, and when they download those things, now they're on your email list, and you can start emailing them just like we talked about earlier, right? So article writing is not dead. It's like most people have left it, but there's huge opportunities there for you. Now, I'm not here to tell you what exactly you should do because everybody's in a different space, but I'm saying that like there's a lot of things that you can do to completely change your business. And like what if you wrote one article a month, or you had somebody else write an article for you, that they're a good writer, and again, you do have ChatGPT now that can help, and you pay them $200, $250 per month, boom, and you got some awesome articles that actually generate leads for you, right? So here at the bottom, I wrote some topics. Now these topics can be article topics, or they can be topics for social media. They can be topics for podcasts, right? How to. List articles are always awesome, right? One of my best videos on YouTube are list videos, right? 99 of the best bodyweight exercises you can do anywhere, right? 66 TRX exercises. Those have 1 million views, right? Close to 1 million views. Questions, right? Where the article is the question. So it's like, what are the 3 biggest struggles people have with nutrition and how to overcome them, right? Question mark, right? Why? New methods. Hey, like I've been doing a lot of isometric training. Here's my favorite methods with isometric training I use with clients. That could be an IG carousel post. That could be a full-blown article. That could be a longer vlog video for YouTube. Okay? Roundup discussions. What's so cool is you can take content from other people and create an article with the 5 favorite things that you read this week from other people and connect and link back to them. And it makes them look awesome too. So it's a great way to connect with others, right? Completed and curated research. So again, taking research from other people, curating it. Best practice interviews, opinions, how I is a really good one. Hey, here's how I eat every day. Hey, here's how I go and do my movement hygiene daily, right? When people follow you, they like to know that. Product reviews, culture, predictions. Here's what I think is going to happen, right? Subject matter expert stuff, doing interviews Remember, when you do an interview with somebody in a podcast, you can turn that into article, no problem, right? Transparency. So those are just some that you can do that give you ideas of how to create content. Now, last thing before I kind of at least wrap up my thoughts and we go into some of the question stuff, if we'll have time for it, is this, right? Number one, when you create a piece of content, it should be able to go on multiple platforms. So if I create something for Instagram, it's going to go on Facebook, it's going to go on YouTube Shorts. It might be, a lot of times when we would create longer content, I'll cut that up. So I'll put the longer one on YouTube, I'll put the longer one on Facebook, I'll put the shorter one on Reels, I'll put the shorter one on YouTube Shorts, and I might even write an article around the longer YouTube video. So then it's like 5 pieces of content from 1 piece of content, right? And now you have things like Otter AI, which is an AI basically that you can add to video, and it will create a summary of the stuff you're talking about. So you don't even have to write it, it does it for you, right? This is just kind of like how to use it in a smart way. So make sure you're creating one thing and then repurposing it with multiple ways. Paid ads. All right, so I wanted to finish on this. Ads can be good, right? And they are good. You got to figure them out. Listen, like our mentorship program, the Yo Grow Your Gym mentorship program, this is the type of stuff that we do where we go like, look, here's the simple way to do this. Here's ads that are currently working. Just do these, right? And there's something called Facebook Ads Library. So a while back, okay, Facebook had to start disclosing what everybody's doing. So if you just Google Facebook Ads Library, you can literally go click on it, and then in there, you write the name of the business. So you could go right now, Vigor Fitness and Performance, and look at what ads I'm currently running, which is only like, I got 2 content ads and I got one ad for leads that I'm running. You can look at the exact ad, right? So a lot of times I go on there because I have friends with marketing companies. I know who's running what type of ads, and I just look at what's working, and then I mirror it. So that's the cheat code, by the way, right? That's the cheat code. You can study what other companies are doing successfully in Facebook Ads Library, right? But with ads, here's the thing, like you got to think about your offer, your audience, your ad, and then your funnel, right? And what's cool now is that if you do a Facebook lead ad, you don't even need a website or landing page because all the leads stay on Facebook. So like right now, I mean, we've had 8 leads from this ad that I'm running since last, I think, Thursday or Friday, at $18 a lead currently, right? So by the time it's June 5th, we'll probably get about 35 to 40 leads. So 35 to 40 leads for about $400 or $450. But if I can get 6 to 8 people sign up for a trial, you see what I'm saying? I've already 4x'd my ROI, and that's not even becoming a member yet. So it makes sense. And the thing is, whether it's paid ads on Google, it's paid ads on Facebook, or it's paid ads on IG, right? Remember how we talked about you got to know your cost per lead, you got to track it, because otherwise you're just shooting in the dark. And this is why most people don't run ads. Like they get frustrated because they don't know what they're doing, or they're spending money and they don't know how it relates to conversion, right? And so this is kind of like one of the things that we help with. Now again, look, reach out to me if you're a coach that's at a certain level and like you want to grow your business and you're a gym owner and you want to do that. Otherwise, again, if you're not ready for a mentorship yet, go to yogrowyourgym.com/memo, right? Because that's where we teach a lot of stuff in this physical newsletter and like once a month call. Now, the second part that I want to, so the cheat code is Facebook Ads Library. You can actually see what I'm running right now. The second one, cheat code is this. When you create a piece of content, right? Like for example, you guys have seen me like do reels where I'm showing my small group personal training group, right? Those do well. So I can just turn that video into an ad because I know it's doing well, right? Like people like it. I turn it into an ad and I lead people back to our landing page, to whether it's to sign up for the trial or I turn it into a lead ad. My point being is like you can use the content that's doing well for you to turn it into ad for your gym and your business and your coaching business, right? And we could kind of dive a little bit deeper into what that means. But again, you don't this is what's cool about creating quality content, right? That if you create quality content, you can just turn it into an ad. You don't have to go like, oh man, like what should the ad be? Well, I already know that the audience is liking it, so now we're just turning it into an ad. That was something actually I talked to initially Gary Vee about, turning, I would say, quality content into advertising that works. So those are your 2 paid ad strategies. And I want you to just think of this in this way. Look, if we talked about having a powerful offer, okay? Right? So think about all the media, like all the stuff we talked about. So Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, YouTube, email. And then I'm going to say brick and mortar stuff. So these are all grassroots. And I could put a lot of those over here, by the way, right? If you had a podcast, we didn't even talk about podcasting. Again, it's too much for that. Then we'd go, seminars. I mean, I could go down the list of just all the things we talked about here, right? So that's going to lead you to, ideally, a conversation here. So this is a conversation. So if it's online, it might be in the DMs, right? They might click straight to a landing page. They may talk to you personally, directly. They might fill out a form. And then they're going to get the offer. And then the offer is going to lead them to, eventually becoming a client, whether that's a trial or whatever else it may be. So, for example, we talked about a blog, right? So all these are all poles in the water, guys. They're poles in the water, right? And ideally, what you do, I didn't say, which is a big one, is like Google SEO. Now you can see, if you lock this in, maybe you have some ads running, your SEO is doing well, you write 2 to 3 emails per week, you do content on social, some of it is promoted. Now you have constant poles in the water that are generating you leads to remember we talked about that's why it's so important to have a quality offer. And now all of a sudden, those couple of leads that you're getting here and there becomes 10, 12, 15 consistently every month. Better quality leads. And some of it is automated, right? You did the work, but now the work is working for you. Right now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have to continuously do the work to a certain degree, right, as you build the business. But again, those are parts of the things that we help with, also strategizing in our consulting, in our mentorship program. But if this is overwhelming, here's what I want you to think about. Think about nutrition that you outline for a client, right? Like they start here, right? That's the point A on their GPS, okay? And they want to get to here. And maybe point B on the GPS is, losing 60 pounds and keeping it off sustainably. Would you give them every strategy and tactic that they'll have to do here? No. What you would do is you would give them the next 1, maybe 2, right? You want to have them moving forward and have them be successful. So going through this workshop, what is the next 1 or 2 steps for you? Is it getting consistent with content? Is it improving your website and building an email list? Maybe you have the bandwidth to do both of those at the same time. Is it actually the next 30 days testing out a Facebook ad and going through the ad library and copying, or should I say mirroring, the stuff that I'm doing and just doing that? And that's your next step. My biggest goal for you is that you take a next step, right? Because if here, is a year and a half from now or a year from now where your business is at, all the things that we covered, it's too much, it's overwhelming. Take 1 or 2 steps forward and apply them, right? And take action on them. So that's the key of all of this, is like some of the stuff is principle-based. There's a bunch of tactics that I gave you guys. But like, look, you got to create a schedule for it. So in a day, if you're going to create content, block out time, either weekly and batch your content. Do 20, 30 minutes per day. Send out emails for the sponsorship stuff that we talked about, 20 minutes per week. Just 20 minutes per week. Right, and do the follow-up. So imagine some of those tactics, just blocking out time to where you're actually doing them on a consistent basis. It's going to change your business because all of this stuff is really, really going to compound. Okay, so I know it's a lot. I kind of had a feeling 2 hours is going to be up quick. So here's the deal, guys. Like, we got about 10 to 15 minutes. If you have questions, I don't know if I'm going to see all the questions there if we slide down, but if you guys have questions, drop them down into the chat, and I'll answer them. If there's no questions, I'm gonna slowly maneuver away. But if there are, we're gonna ask them. I'm just not sure if it's renewing. Actually, hold on. There's 2 questions that came in earlier. Would you alter any of the approaches if you're a personal trainer as opposed to a gym? Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, like, look, when you build a gym, you're generating leads for everybody in the gym. So if you have coaches and you have a team, you're generating leads for that gym. You are just generating leads for yourself. The principles of that stay the same, okay? So another from I think it's Ronan. Ronan asks, can this work if you're a hybrid trainer doing both in-person and online training? Yes, absolutely. Principles are the same. Your offer, here's the thing is, your offer for in-person, your offer for online would probably be different. So when we went over that offer, what would happen is you would create an offer specifically for your online coaching program, and you'd create an offer specifically for your in-person coaching. Ideally, what you'd have is a landing page for both, right? So if you had a website, we'd have one for both, ideally. But remember, it's your call. So anything that you do here, you can then direct them to the offer. So I could be online. A lot of times, if I'm creating a post online, I'm leading people to something online, right? My online offer. You're DMing with a person, they're not in your area. So that's the other thing too. If you have an audience, which you probably have, that are not in your area, they automatically become a prospect for online coaching versus for coming to you in person or coming to the gym, right? So I have a pretty big audiences from all around the world. Like there's only so many, really small percentage of people from the total audience that can come and train here at Vigor, right? So this is where advertising comes into play, because I run ads, and I'm running ads in our zip codes, 98055, 56, 57, 98178, right? So things that are close to here, right? Let's see. Slide presentation. Yes, so lose yourself fitness. We're going to put that slide. It's not from this. Basically, it's a presentation that I've been doing this year all around the country at big events. We're going to put those slides inside. So if you purchase the business workshop, this business building workshop, we're going to drop that in there for you guys. Lamar, glad that you learned a lot. What's my preferred platform for blogging? Look, I think that WordPress is probably still the best bet for websites. That's what the Vigor site is built on. It's on WordPress. It has, you can have a ton of different plugins. But again, like here's the thing too. I'm telling you right now that platforms are less important than the content, right? So if you do great writing and it's very useful and it's very valuable, that's going to be more important whether it's on a ClickFunnels or whether it's on a WordPress site, whether it's on a Kartra or Kajabi or anything like that. So I think that that's a very important thing is like the quality of the content versus the platforms. Now, I do think, I think from pretty much every coach, you should be on Facebook, you should be on Instagram. Some people will say you should be on TikTok. I'm on there. I don't go hard in the paint on there. But look, TikTok is another one of those things where you could use content from Instagram on TikTok with a couple modifications. You should be on YouTube Shorts, right? So just things that are easy to replicate makes a lot of sense. You definitely have to have a website. I think LinkedIn is coming up for online too, but again, I don't want to take you down too many rabbit holes. Aaron said, my ultimate goal is to be in my own facility running semi-small group training. Right now, I rent space from a studio. What will be the next steps to get where I want to be? Number one, the first thing I would say to you is find out what it would take to have your own place, right? Meaning, how big of a space do you want to have? 2,500 square feet, 3,000 square feet? What area do you want to be in? And then start looking at what that commercial real estate would be, right? Legitimately, get a commercial real estate agent, have you find a spot, look at the different spaces so you actually know the numbers and it's not something up in the ether, right? Because what you want to do is go, okay, it's going to cost me this much for rent. I have to pay myself this much to make it. So this is how much the business has to make. And then you can look at your current clientele and go okay, I need to get another 10, 12, 15 clients, and I'll be in a place where I can open that gym and be able to live, right? Make a living, and then you can build from there. So I always, with every coaching client, that's what we do. We go you are here on the GPS. This is what it takes for you to open up your own facility, right? And then we start crunching the numbers and we create a gap, and we see in the gap what you would have to do, what actionable steps, how many leads, how many clients you need to get to be able to go into that space and not be bleeding, right? Because we want to get the positive cash flow as soon as possible. That's why I'm a big fan of starting smaller and growing, rather than getting these elaborate facilities and having crazy overheads and you're not making money. So hopefully that answered the question on that one. Love it. Love that you learned a lot. Would you recommend to hire someone to help with some tasks? Yes, absolutely. Listen, this is a great question, by the way. Great question. So, when to hire. things that, listen, the first person I would say to hire is some type of admin that does things that you suck at, right? So things like billing and admin, and there's folks that are so much more effective and efficient than you are. Your highest, I would say your highest ROI as a coach is what? Number one is coaching, right? It's coaching. People that hire coaches too fast is a mistake. If you make the most money coaching, then you should be doing as much coaching as possible, and you probably should, you're essentially the product to a degree, so content creation, marketing, that should be on your plate. Do not outsource marketing too fast. Learn marketing to a certain degree. I think it's a very important thing. But the thing is, like things like CC rejects, cancellations, billing, scheduling, admin, emails, you should outsource that as soon as possible, because you're spending time and money at things you're not good at. Somebody can do way better than you, and it's taken away from your skill, which is coaching and making money from that and helping people, right? So again, I feel like, oh, by the way, great book. It's called Buy Back Your Time from Dan Martell, who I'll be meeting sometime soon, and I was going to go to one of his events up here because he's in Vancouver. But great book to read through and like kind of go through this concept of like, hey, and one of the things I wish I would have done sooner for sure, but sometimes you got to learn the hard way. But it's like, hey, what are the things that I'm really not that good at and it's not my genius and I hate doing? How can I outsource them? And stay away from the mindset of like this is a cost versus this is an investment, right? So if you can pay $25 per hour and it takes your time away so that you can make 100 and 150 doing coaching, that makes a lot more sense. So think of it in those terms, because that's going to help you out a lot, okay? All right, listen, I'm going to 30 seconds if somebody else is going to drop one more for me to answer, and then we're at that like 2:30 mark. That went by faster than I thought it would go. But
where are your whiteboards from?
What's that?
Where are your whiteboards from?
Oh, you know what? My whiteboards, I can't actually tell you where they're from. You could probably find these on Amazon, but here's the deal. Just a quick thing. We had a coaching client here that they moved out of one space and it was like, hey, do you want all these whiteboards? And I was like, absolutely, because I'm a doodler. Like, I love doodling. But these are about $900 to $1,000 a pop. So they're very expensive. But I think you can probably get like about $400 or $500 whiteboards on Amazon that are solid. These are heavy, thick, very high grade. And again, like we use them for writing stuff up for training, but they've been very, very, very good for content creation. What are the best books you learned from about marketing? Oof, this is a loaded question, but I'll give you some. Okay? This is Marketing from Seth Godin is excellent. Let's see. Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. Story Brand by Donald Miller is excellent. Even though this is like an older book, Gary Vee's Jab, 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 Right Hook and Thank You Economy are excellent. Now this is I'll give you 2 customer service books, but I promise you they double up as marketing books. Promise you. So one of them is Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. And the other one is the one that I'm finishing reading right now. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality, and it's absolutely excellent. So those are just some. Like if you follow me on Instagram, I share quite a lot of the books that I love and read. See, Riggs46 said, what are some things you do for your clients to show appreciation for their commitment, loyalty? Oof, this is another one that we could go longer into. And look, the thing is, you don't have to do always big things. I think that like end of June, we're going to have a client appreciation party. I like to do big parties. We've done some like crazy parties for the bigger crew, but those are cool. But I think it's more important that you do things like appreciation cards, little things that become part of your culture. Again, Unreasonable Hospitality is a great one for that. But like when you find out that somebody likes a certain type of coffee, you don't even ask them, you just bring them the coffee, right? You have a client that their son scores a goal in their first goal in soccer, and you know that they love, the local soccer team, and you get them tickets for a game. You're like, hey, listen, congratulations to your son for scoring a goal. That's so awesome. So, hey, I got you guys a couple tickets for the game. That's mind-blowing type stuff. You've had a client stay for 2 years, create like basically Nike has Nike ID, and you create them a special set of shoes. That's I don't know, it's 150, 160 bucks, but it feels so much more. Do individualized things rather than cookie cutter stuff. I think that's very, very important. That will be, listen, by the way, I mentioned that we're going to do something special. I mean, the official announcement is going to come later, but we're going to go into a continuity teaching model with these workshops, right? Where every week I'm going to go live. Twice a month, we're going to do actual workshops. And then twice a month, we're going to do workshops. Twice a month, we're going to do Q&As, just answering questions, whiteboards, like literally mentoring you guys. That's coming in the coming weeks. And one of them that's going to be coming up is going to be on customer experience and customer service. What did Anshul ask?
Do you run any mentorship programs where you can learn?
Yes, absolutely. So our mentorship is called Yo Grow Your Gym. It's a very simple way to remember it. So if you go to YoGrowYourGym.com, so it's easy to remember, you can find out more about that. You can directly message me in DMs on IG. That's what we do. We help coaches and gym owners build their business sustainably. You know, like I'm all about long-term career, guys. That's why we do, you know, these workshops to try to share as much with you guys as possible. It's not just tactical, quick hitter stuff. And there's so much to go through. Like when we talk about building systems, building teams, technology, hiring, firing, internships, all of these things, right? Like my goal is to create the new generation of coaches and gym owners that build success and that love what they do, are very successful at it, so they make a good living at it, and it's meaningful and purposeful to them. But again, it creates security and drops stress so that you get, you know, what you deserve. I think this is the greatest industry in the world. I think that what we do is more effective, and we help influence people more than just about any industry out there. But I want to professionalize it to a level where we get to this place that we deserve from a place of not just reputation, recognition, but financially, right, be in those positions. And then that's why I do these workshops that are both strategic in a training sense and a coaching sense, and there's going to be more of the customer experience, the coaching, the systems, the back ends of the business that you got to learn to be really, really good at this. So it's the mentorship page is YoGrowYourGym.com, www.YoGrowYourGym.com. So thank you guys. I could keep, man, you already know, like I could keep going. But this is part of the reason when we started doing these workshops, that is why I wanted to create a continuity model so that we create this community of coaches that are just like crushing souls. And I mean that in the best of ways, building their businesses, having fun along the way, right? And actually have a path and a plan to build a career out of this, not make it a hobby or like be great at what you do but get burnt out, but like actually build something for your family, for, you know, impact as many people as possible. That's why we got into it. I know all of us, nobody initially got into this industry because you're going to be like Wall Street rich, right? It's like we love what we do, but guess what? You can make good money with this, but you got to know the back end of the business as well. So love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me from, you know, all over the world. It means the world to me. More than anything, I want you to take action on this because that's the most important part. And then stay tuned because I'm going to announce some cool stuff in the coming weeks. And I think you're really going to like it. With that said, peace out, my friends. If you love this, make sure you share. Listen, the way that we spread the message, the way that we build this community is share. Share what you're getting value. I'd love to hear what you got the most value from. I'd love to hear what you're going to implement, right, so I can keep my eyes on you and you're putting in the work. All right, guys, take care. Peace out.